The truth is, I was absolutely dead broke. That is exactly what gave me the crazy nerve to sign up for this hardcore money-saving reality show. The challenge? Survive for one whole month on just $500. The catch was simple but brutal. Whoever had the most cash left at the very end would walk away with a massive $5 million. Now, most people's very first instinct was to stock up and survive on cheap instant ramen, choke down dry steamed buns, or even starve themselves with just one meal a day to stretch their dollars. But to me, that was absolute child's play. Seriously, wasn't this whole thing just a glorified competition to see who could be the ultimate cheapskate? When it came to penny pinching and milking the system for every possible freebie, I was basically a grandmaster. So on the very first day of the show, I hauled myself out of bed way before dawn. Relying entirely on my memory of the area, I slipped out of the contestants' dorm building, hit the pavement, and started jogging straight down the pitch-black, empty streets. Since I couldn't actually see the live stream comments on my end, I had absolutely no idea that the broadcast was already rolling and catching my every move. Naturally, the viewers flooding the live chat were already pulling their hair out, getting totally anxious and stressing over my early morning antics. They were calling me a total idiot. They figured everyone else was smartly planning to sleep the whole day away to reduce their energy consumption and avoid getting hungry. They definitely never expected some crazy guy to be up and running before the sun even came out. "Where the heck is this dude going?" one comment read. "Please don't tell me he's going for a morning jog. That is just way too stupid. Shouldn't he be saving every ounce of his strength right now? You know, avoiding wasting calories, eating way less, and spending zero cash? Ugh, I seriously can't even watch this train wreck. Man, he's so clueless. I could easily do way better than him," another typed. "I'd literally just lay in bed for 48 hours straight without eating a bite or spending a single dime. Are you kidding me? At a critical time like this, he is still focused on his workout routine. He is not even a famous celebrity. Why on earth is he putting on this fake idol-style self-discipline act? This poser should have just signed up for a boy band talent show instead. Letting a guy like him on a survival show is such a massive waste of a good spot." I kept up my steady pace and ran for about 10 minutes straight. Of course, the internet trolls completely roasted me for those exact same 10 minutes. Finally, I slowed down and came to a dead stop right in front of a local pharmacy. But the second I casually pulled a crumpled little leaflet out of my jacket pocket, the viewers in the chat immediately lost their absolute minds. A few massive, bold words were stamped right across that piece of paper. "Free eggs giveaway." Yep, my very first master step in surviving this game was aggressively scoring freebies. Clutched right there in my hand was a promotional flyer from a neighborhood drugstore called Mercy Source Pharmacy. The flyer had all this messy promotional jargon plastered all over it, along with a crucial little detail, limited to 30 per day. You really have to understand. Giveaway events exactly like this are wildly popular and highly competitive among the local grandmas and grandpas. So, I absolutely had to get there at the crack of dawn if I wanted even a slim chance of claiming that prize. And hey, that was exactly why I dragged myself out of bed so early and went for a nice, refreshing morning jog. Finally, right at 8:30 in the morning when the sun was fully shining, the pharmacy rolled up its doors. By that time, a whole squad of aggressive senior citizens had already formed a massive line right behind my back. The pharmacy clerk shot a wildly confused look at the person standing dead first in the front of the line. I mean, it made sense. I was literally the only young guy standing in a sea of seniors. Then, after a totally awkward pause, he finally shook off his weird, judging stare, pointed a finger down at a sign-up sheet on the table, and spoke in a tight, polite tone. "Just sign your name and jot down your cell number right here, and you can grab your free eggs." I stayed completely cool, picked up the pen, and effortlessly scribbled down a string of random numbers without a second of hesitation. With that done, I proudly cradled my full pound of fresh eggs all the way back to the dorms, feeling absolutely on top of the world. Instantly, the live chat absolutely exploded again. "Wait, I am so sorry I ever doubted him. Holy crap, he doesn't have to starve today, and he completely played by the rules. Okay, I gotta admit, that was a legendary, top-tier freebie move right there. I am genuinely starting to look forward to seeing exactly how this handsome genius manages to freeload next. Man, even though scoring free food like this is brilliant, You really need a backbone of steel to handle all those weird, judgmental stares from the old folks. Honestly, as a young dude myself, I would be way too totally mortified to pull a stunt like that. Hey, what is wrong with it? Another fired back. The guy didn't steal a thing or rob anybody out there. Exactly. Why the heck should he feel embarrassed at all? Is it because of your fragile, ridiculous sense of pride that isn't even worth a single pound of free groceries? Let me ask you this. Can your precious pride actually fill your empty stomach? They were right. Armed with this whole pound of free eggs, my food situation for the next couple of brutal days was basically locked down. Now, the kitchen inside our competitor dorm building was just one big communal space. Every single guest on the show was forced to prep their meals in this exact spot. Luckily, the production crew had actually been nice enough to leave us some basic pots, pans, and everyday seasonings. So, all I really had to do was give the skillet a quick scrub in the sink, and I would be tearing into a hot, delicious, sizzling egg breakfast. But right at that moment, Megan Wells came strolling down the stairs and immediately caught the sound of someone moving around in the kitchen. Like a shark smelling blood, she instantly crept over, keeping her footsteps totally silent. "Whoa! You seriously bought that many eggs?" she gasped, her eyes glued to the sizzling golden yolks popping in my frying pan as she practically drooled. Let's be real here, who in their right mind could ever resist waking up to the incredible smell and getting to scarf down two perfectly crisp, buttery fried eggs? Do you need me to help you out with that?" she offered, practically begging. I just shot her a polite, totally fake smile. Nope, I am all good." The second those words left my mouth, the room fell dead quiet, leaving only the loud, crackling sizzle of hot oil in the air. Megan awkwardly stood there, waiting and waiting, but she absolutely never heard the polite little invitation she was desperately fishing for. She wanted me to say, "Hey, do you want to grab a plate too?" Honestly, who knew if I, Felix Palmer, was just being completely selfish, playing totally dumb, or just entirely dense when it came to social cues? She was probably raging inside, thinking, there are so many damn eggs in there. What is the big deal with just handing over 2 measly eggs to a starving girl? There is no way he can stuff his face with all of those by himself anyway, she must have thought. This guy clearly has zero manners and absolutely no sense of social grace. Whatever. The harsh reality hitting her was that if she actually had to drag herself outside to buy her own breakfast on a shoestring budget, besides sad instant ramen, there was absolutely nothing else she could find that was both dirt cheap and actually filling. But hey, a free meal is a free meal, and Megan wasn't about to let this golden opportunity slip through her fingers. Flashing a fake, sugary smile, she decided to make her move. Wow, those eggs look absolutely delicious. You're eating super early today. I literally just rolled out of bed, and my stomach is completely empty. If our guy, Felix, couldn't pick up on a hint that incredibly obvious, he was either totally oblivious, or he was playing dumb on purpose just to spite her. I casually slid the sizzling fried eggs onto my plate and hit her with a completely deadpan look, then stopped standing there staring at me. "Go make your own breakfast. But I want some eggs too. They're so cheap and filling," she whined. Honestly, I didn't care at all. I stayed completely stone-faced. I shoved the rest of my raw eggs straight into the fridge, right in my personal, clearly labeled bin. "Oh? Then go buy some outside," I shot back. Megan's eye twitched. This guy was an absolute brick wall. The live viewers were instantly onto her. Dude, is it just me, or is this chick totally trying to leech off him? Lol. Literally, a blind man could see she wants to steal his breakfast. Like, how could he not hear that heavy-handed hint? Or wait. Did he actually hear it, and just chose to ignore it to save her from total embarrassment? Look, in the real world, I naturally wouldn't sweat giving away a couple of eggs, but this was a brutal survival competition. We were rivals, and every single one of us started on an entirely level playing field. It wasn't exactly a life-or-death famine out here, either. So why on earth should I let this girl coast by, eating my hard-earned food for absolutely free? Why was it my job to help Megan hoard her cash? Seriously, did I have the word sucker tattooed across my forehead? Megan stood there, watching me carry my delicious plate over to the table and sit down. With zero shame, she let out this loud, dramatic sigh. Man, I wonder if the grocery store would let me buy just 2 single eggs. I really don't want to buy a whole massive carton like you did. I'd be so worried about not finishing them and letting perfectly good food go to waste. Especially in this blistering heat, they'd just rot. Wow. The only way she could have been more obvious was if she screamed, "Just give me your damn eggs!" I completely ignored her sob story and casually picked up a perfectly fried egg with my chopsticks. The heat control was absolutely flawless, crisping both sides to a gorgeous golden brown. I took a massive bite. Oh man. Perfectly crispy on the outside, insanely rich and tender on the inside. Standing right there, Megan practically drooled, gulping loudly not once, but twice. Then, her empty stomach completely sold her out with a massive, echoing rumble. I took my sweet time, slowly chewing and swallowing before I even bothered to reply. They won't go bad. That's literally what the fridge is for. Just go check the local stores first. If you're really that desperate for exactly 2 eggs and can't find any, come back later. I'll sell you a couple of mine. Megan's jaw practically hit the floor. She seriously thought her ears were broken. Wait, sell them to me? She choked out in absolute disbelief. She was just trying to score a single free breakfast. Did this guy really have to be such an unbelievably petty cheapskate? Was he actually seriously demanding cash for 2 measly eggs? Yep, you heard me perfectly, I said. Megan's friendly facade completely shattered right then and there. Felix Palmer, are you kidding me? We're literally castmates filming the exact same reality show. We're stuck living together for an entire month. It's literally just 2 stupid eggs. And you're seriously going to charge me for that? I blinked at her, letting a fleeting, perfectly innocent look flash right across my eyes. Look, if a full-grown adult can shamelessly beg for free food on national television, why on earth should I feel awkward about charging her for it? Hearing that, Megan's face flushed with pure, venomous rage. Who the hell says I'm freeloading? Fine, I'll just go buy my own, she snapped, storming off. Once the pest was finally gone, I peacefully polished off the rest of my breakfast. I scrubbed my plate sparkling clean, then headed straight upstairs to strategize my next move. Because out here, if you aren't thinking 3 steps ahead, starvation is going to knock on your door real quick. I couldn't just sit around hoarding this single pound of eggs and assume I was perfectly safe. I had to hustle and figure out other ways to survive this game. By the time noon rolled around, the live viewers finally got a good look at our other 2 competitors, Jason Miller and Anna Lane. These 2 were playing a completely different strategy. They just waited until lunch to eat, rationing themselves to only 2 meals a day. Starving through breakfast basically meant 1 less meal to pay for. Since their rumbling stomachs synced up perfectly, the 2 of them instantly bonded over their shared misery and started plotting together. They teamed up, marched straight down to the nearest corner store, and threw their cash together to buy an entire wholesale box of cheap instant ramen. Splitting the massive stash right down the middle, they each walked away with half a box. The price was dirt cheap, and it was the perfect amount of food to comfortably survive on without anything expiring. Plus, if they ever got sick of eating the exact same thing every single day, they could easily just swap out the seasoning packets to mix things up. While those 2 headed back to the dorm to boil their sad noodles, Megan definitely wasn't just sitting around. The second my back was turned, she started twisting the truth, gossiping to anyone who would listen about how incredibly cheap Felix Palmer was. Guys, you won't believe this. Today, he literally offered to sell me 2 of his gross eggs. I'm telling you, he's totally trying to game the system just to win. He's literally plotting to siphon all of our cash. You guys need to watch your backs around him, seriously. Do not let that psycho scam you out of your daily allowance. But right as those toxic words left Megan's mouth, Jason completely froze in his tracks. He stared wide-eyed at the dark silhouette casually leaning against the kitchen doorframe. Sensing the sudden tension, Megan nervously followed Jason's terrified gaze. Catching sight of me, her guilty conscience spiked, and she violently flinched like a deer caught in the headlights. Jason swallowed hard, frantically trying to cut through the impossibly thick, awkward silence. Hey, did you, need to use the kitchen or something? Nah, I'm heading out to grab some real food, I replied casually. I glanced up and down at Jason's scrawny frame, then stared pointedly at the depressing brick of dry ramen in his hand. For some stupid reason, the absolute last shred of human decency I possessed flickered to life. It actually nudged me into tossing out one completely uncharacteristic offer. "Do you guys just want to tag along with me?" I asked. I mean, honestly, I had found a way to score a totally free feast off someone else's dime today. It wasn't my wallet taking the hit. I really didn't mind dragging these starving fools along to enjoy an epic, all-expenses-paid lunch on the house, too. Because in this brutal survival game, who the hell knew how many agonizing days we'd spend starving in the future? If there was a guaranteed massive free meal sitting right in front of us today, we'd be absolute idiots not to devour it. But Jason just backed away nervously. No thanks, man. You're a little too good at making deals. If we go out to eat with you, we'll probably just end up getting scammed out of even more of our cash." All morning long, she had been dropping endless hints, practically begging for him to say those exact words. But he had flat out refused to take the bait. Now that he was finally saying it, that ship had sailed. It was way too late. Besides, who knows what twisted idea he got from that egg-selling stunt this morning. For all we know, he is secretly cooking up some nasty trick, setting a trap to drain our wallets dry. It was only then that I finally spared a single, cold glance in Megan's direction. Feigning complete confusion, I looked left, right, front, and back. "I wasn't talking to you. Whose question are you even answering right now?" That little performance of mine instantly shattered Megan's fake persona, leaving her absolutely humiliated. Even Jason and Anna had to bite their lips, struggling not to laugh out loud at my brutal comeback. Megan's face instantly went pitch black with rage. Haha, Felix Palmer really knows how to shut down that passive-aggressive pick-me girl. But seriously, how did a guy this savage get cursed with a name like Felix Palmer? Is she really trying to pull the whole "let us all isolate him" trick? Funny how she conveniently forgot to mention she was trying to mooch his eggs for free. The fake, innocent girl mask just totally cracked. She just cannot handle losing. Wait, does Felix Palmer actually have another crazy method to score a free meal? Man, I am seriously looking forward to this. Jason turned his head, exchanging a quick, loaded glance with Anna right beside him. Then he looked away, ripped open the instant noodle packet in his hands, and flashed a super awkward smile. "We have already got our lunch sorted out, so we will pass. You go ahead, though." No matter what Felix's true character was actually like, given the cutthroat competition between us, playing it safe and keeping our guard up was definitely better than walking into a trap blind. "All right, suit yourselves." I nodded, putting on a regretful face. Without another word, I spun on my heel and walked away. Megan curled her lips into a smug smirk. She watched my seemingly rejected figure walk off all alone, feeling a rush of secret, twisted satisfaction. She finally looked away, pulled up a chair right next to the dining table, and watched like a hawk as Jason and Anna prepped their ramen. As the mouth-watering aroma of MSG and hot noodles drifted up from their bowls, she audibly gulped. "Wow, you guys are eating lunch pretty early. I haven't even eaten yet." Wow, those exact same words again. Was Felix Palmer really the one scheming to trap everyone else? Or was she the true parasite here, constantly scheming to leech off the others? Ramen guy and ramen girl, please do not fall for this. Take a page from Felix Palmer's book and reject her straight to her face. If you let her get away with it once, she will just keep coming back for more. You two literally have the lowest budget right now. If she drains your resources, you are absolutely going to lose this game. Megan stared unblinkingly at the steaming bowls of noodles in front of them, swallowing hard without even realizing it. Jason frowned, clearly uncomfortable. He felt completely put on the spot. If he caved and invited her to eat with them, it was basically handing an opponent a free pass on their daily expenses. But if he didn't offer her anything, looking at her pathetic, hungry expression, he felt totally awkward and guilty. Plus, the reality show cameras were right in his face. If he acted too ruthless, the live viewers would absolutely flame him for being a cheapskate, just like Felix Palmer. To be completely honest, whether he won that $5 million prize didn't even matter that much to him. His main goal was to snatch the popularity award. Getting a contract with Male Entertainment and debuting as a star was a golden ticket worth way more than $5 million. So, to secure those precious popularity votes, and to dodge getting canceled by the viewers for being stingy, Jason sighed, pulled a packet from his half-empty case of ramen, and handed it over. "You haven't eaten yet? Here, just eat with us." Megan, having finally secured her freeloader meal, put on a fake surprised face. Oh my gosh, how could I possibly accept this? And then, without missing a beat, she snatched the noodles right out of his hand. Anna, who had stayed dead silent this entire time, just calmly picked up her bowl and slid away. Without making a single sound, she deliberately put a solid gap between herself, Jason, and the leech that was Megan. What the hell is Ramen Guy even doing? Did he graduate from some charity-run Saint University or something? Bro, why don't you just hand her the $5 million prize on a silver platter while you are at it? Ugh, my blood is boiling just watching this. Ramen Guy is completely clueless. This manipulative woman actually managed to mooch off another guest. I am so done. I am switching over to Felix Palmer's stream. Quick, let's go watch him. While those three losers are choking down cheap ramen in the dorms, our boy Felix Palmer is chilling in a restaurant, feasting like an absolute king for free. The difference in their survival skills is just insane. A local hot pot and barbecue joint had plastered a grand opening banner outside. Guess 3 characters correctly, and your meal is entirely on the house. And right now, I was sitting comfortably inside, devouring a premium lunch for $0. The fine print on the promo poster clearly stated that each person only had 1 shot at the free meal challenge. On top of that, food waste was strictly prohibited. If you bit off more than you could chew and didn't finish, they would slap you with a heavy fine. So, following the server's instructions, I quickly registered my name and phone number, then played it smart by ordering a perfectly sized portion for one. My live stream chat was going absolutely crazy. Everyone dying to see if I could actually pull off this free lunch heist, or if I was about to get totally scammed. Thousands of viewers stayed glued to my stream, anxiously waiting for me to clean my plate. But the second I finally finished and stood up to leave, the server marched right up to me. Your total comes out to $13. Will you be paying with cash or by phone? Boom. I freaking knew it. There is absolutely no such thing as a free lunch in this world. Sure, $13 for a feast like this is a solid bargain. But look around. The other guests are slurping down instant noodles that cost barely $1 a pack. And Megan? She didn't drop a single dime on her lunch. So honestly, after a meal like this, Felix Palmer should probably just take the L and count this whole thing as a loss. Consider it a minor, relatively cheap lesson in the real world. I once had a buddy who attended a so-called free event, and by the end of it, he got hustled out of several $1,000s. You really cannot just jump blindly at every bargain you see. But right now, I was way more curious about what exactly that $13 was even charging me for. I stared at the server, totally baffled. Hold on, wasn't this meal supposed to be completely free if I guessed that 3-character riddle correctly? I literally just cleared the game. Why on earth are you still charging me? The server flatly replied that it was for a mandatory tea service and a tableware fee. Funny how those little details were conveniently left off their flashy promotional posters. I wasn't made aware of this at all. I went dead silent for 2 agonizing seconds, letting the tension build. Then, without breaking eye contact, I casually pulled a $100 bill from my pocket and slapped it into the server's hand. I stood there waiting, and only after the server awkwardly handed over my change and printed out the official receipt did I finally get up and stroll right out the front doors. But the moment I reached the restaurant's entrance, I didn't just walk away and let it slide. Oh no. Instead, I whipped out my phone, punched in a number, and got straight to business. Hello? Yes, I would like to file an official report. Generally speaking, basic tableware is supposed to be provided totally free of charge inside any dining establishment. Forcing a hidden fee down a consumer's throat without their prior consent is straight up illegal. And as for this ridiculous tea service fee, I didn't even order a single drop of tea. If this isn't blatant textbook fraud, then what is? The viewers glued to my live stream couldn't hear a word of what the operator was saying on the other end of the line. All they saw was my calm, silent demeanor as I quietly listened to the official finishing up their routine questions. Then, with a knowing smirk, I lowered my head and stared down at the freshly printed receipt clutched in my hand. Yes, I have the definitive proof right here in my hand. Let me tell you, that Consumer Protection Department was terrifyingly efficient. In less than 5 flat minutes, while I was just casually leaning against the restaurant entrance with my hands tucked in my pockets, the panicked owner burst out and personally invited me back inside. We immediately headed to the back, stepping into the owner's private office to go through the quote-unquote coordination process between both parties. The boss was practically sweating bullets, ready to offer me compensation and a hasty apology. Hello there. I am the owner of this Fortune Garden hot pot and barbecue joint. My last name is Morrison. After that stiff, nervous introduction, Mr. Morrison heavily slumped into the leather chair right across from me. Look, man, is there something you're unhappy with? You really could have just told me directly instead of blowing this up. Was calling the authorities really necessary? Tell you what, I will refund your money right this second. But you have to hand over that receipt in your hand first. Playing along, I calmly pulled that little slip of paper out of my pocket. But just as my fingers extended toward him, I hit the brakes and instantly snatched it right back. The shady boss was left totally flabbergasted, completely thrown off by the juke. I raised a skeptical eyebrow. Refund me? Sure, that fixes my problem. But you are just going to turn around and scam the very next customer who walks through those doors, aren't you? Mr. Morrison swallowed his pride, suppressing the burning annoyance in his chest, and tried to patronize me. Hey now, you cannot word it like that. We are absolutely not scamming anyone. It is just that you are young and don't completely understand how things work. The entire restaurant industry operates exactly like this nowadays. Listen, if you are still feeling slighted, just come back next time and I will personally comp an entire meal for you. I swear on my life, I will not charge you a single hidden fee. Despite his desperate plea, I sat there, completely stone-faced and unmoved. Come on, this was never just about comping one measly meal. With a hint that painfully obvious, how could a seasoned hustler like Mr. Morrison, a guy who had survived in this cutthroat society for years, possibly fail to catch my drift? The gears started turning in his head, and a strange, sharp trace of cold calculation instantly flashed across his scheming eyes. Dropping the nice guy act, he decided to just speak plainly. All right, fine. Then how exactly do you want to resolve this? What kind of, quote, more practical compensation are you looking for? I slowly repeated his words, dragging out the syllables to let the meaning hang heavily in the air. More practical compensation, huh? And then I just shut my mouth. I didn't say another word. I only stared dead into Mr. Morrison's eyes with a heavy, piercing gaze that spoke absolute volumes. Now, Mr. Morrison fancied himself a wildly smart man who could pick up on subtle hints in a heartbeat. He immediately pasted on a greasy smile and offered, "Okay, how about 3 free meals?" I gave him nothing, just crickets. Smart man, indeed. Mr. Morrison clearly thought I was still fiercely dissatisfied. Catching my deliberately hesitant, totally conflicted expression, Mr. Morrison practically cracked his back teeth, clenching them so hard. Fine, I will give you 10 free meals. I froze for a split second. Honestly, that was not even what I was originally going to ask for. But hey, since this hopelessly crooked boss was literally handing me golden benefits on a silver platter, wouldn't flat-out refusing them just break the poor guy's heart? And way more importantly, it would severely hurt my own feelings. We are talking about 10 completely free, no-strings-attached meal vouchers here. So, you are obviously still refunding the cash I just spent, right? I pressed. Of course. Yes, of course, he stammered. Okay, so after the refund, then what? It took Mr. Morrison an awkwardly long time before his brain buffered, and he finally grasped what I was actually implying. His face dropped into a dark frown. He was grinding his back teeth so violently they were about to turn to dust, but on the surface, he still forced out this painful, fake smile that looked like it was seconds away from shattering. Exactly how much more financial compensation do you want from me? As the two of us locked horns and started aggressively haggling over this exact issue. Damn. Just a minute ago, I really wanted to praise Felix Palmer for pulling off a brilliant counterattack. But now, listening to this chaotic shakedown, why does it heavily feel like I am just watching one ruthless crook eat another crook alive? Honestly, what Felix Palmer is pulling right now is barely any different from that scumbag boss. Turns out, the two of them are basically cut from the exact same, delightfully shady cloth. Man, I'm honestly a little let down by Felix Palmer. At first, I totally thought he was this righteous hero. Wait, hold up. Felix was the one who got scammed first. Using the boss's own shady tricks to get his money back is totally fair game, right? Sure, that logic checks out, but the whole vibe has shifted. Like, sure, he was just defending his rights in the beginning, but if he keeps pushing it now and demands a massive payout, This is going to cross the line straight into extortion and blackmail. Little did they know, this whole free lunch stunt I pulled had the internet completely blowing up with heated debates. I had literally just turned on my stream, yet my viewer count was already absolutely crushing every other guest on the show. The best part? That sleazy restaurant owner, Mr. Morrison, had zero clue that his entire scam was being broadcast live to thousands through my hidden camera. He was completely in the dark, but I knew exactly what I was doing. There was no way I'd make some crazy, illegal demand. That would just get me instantly booted from the show. I knew every single word and move I made was being put under a microscope by the internet, heavily scrutinized, and picked apart by armchair lawyers and click-hungry bloggers desperate to see if I was crossing a legal line. But hey, just letting this scammer off the hook with a slap on the wrist? Yeah, that wasn't happening either. I paused, racking my brain for the perfect, legally sound payback. Start providing free tableware for your customers and instantly drop that ridiculous tea service fee. As for me, just pay me exactly what the law demands for compensation. Hearing this, Mr. Morrison's face scrunched up like he'd just swallowed a lemon. And it wasn't just him sweating. All those toxic internet trolls who were typing furiously, ready to cancel me, they were instantly silenced, utterly humiliated by my perfectly calculated move. Honestly, I had to thank those little haters. Because of their whining, my reputation as a principled underdog absolutely skyrocketed. Those bitter losers tried to bury me, but instead, they gift-wrapped me an insane amount of clout and an untouchable hero status for free. Now, on the surface, Morrison played nice and agreed to my terms. Obviously, he was just trying to pacify me now so he could ignore the deal later. Gritting his teeth, he handed over $500 in mandatory compensation, plus those 10 free meal vouchers he had bragged about earlier. The second I walked out the door, his nervous waiter leaned in and asked, boss, are we seriously ditching those consumer service fees? Morrison slumped back into his leather chair, glaring daggers at my departing figure. Who the hell does that brat think he is? Does he honestly believe he's some comic book hero saving the world? Trying to speak up for the common customer? What an absolute joke. Keep charging them exactly like before. But wait, barely 10 seconds had passed when a brilliant thought hit me, and I spun right back around to his office. Without knocking, I shoved the door wide open and casually popped my head inside. Morrison had just taken a smug sip of his expensive tea, and his eyes bugged out when he saw me suddenly standing right there. He flinched so hard he practically choked, sputtering hot tea everywhere. I flashed him the biggest, most innocent smile. Oh, hey, I totally forgot to remind you just now. I'm actually streaming this whole thing live. Millions of righteous viewers across the internet are going to be watching your every move now. So you better keep your word. With a cheerful wave, I walked away for good. Meanwhile, high up in the sleek CEO's office at Mail Entertainment, Austin Grant lounged lazily in his massive executive chair, swiveling his monitor toward the VIP sitting across his desk. The screen was currently broadcasting the absolute chaos of our hit reality show, Money Saving Battle. Right at that second, it showed the exact moment I was happily stuffing my face with that free lunch. Austin smirked, locking eyes with his guest. Sitting there was Sophia Shaw, draped in a sharp black haute couture dress, radiating pure, intimidating elegance. Well, what do you think? Isn't my newest investment wildly entertaining? Sophia just leaned back into her seat, completely unfazed and totally relaxed. Her icy, piercing gaze remained fixed on my face on the monitor for a long, silent moment. It's fine, she murmured. Austin just smirked harder. He couldn't hide his greedy amusement. Okay, but seriously, what do you think about this young guy? Because honestly, I think he suits me especially well. I mean, just look at his crazy energy. That careless, cocky vibe where he literally couldn't care less about what anyone thinks, just does his own thing, and absolutely refuses to take a loss. He completely checks all my boxes, suits my taste to a T. Sophia slowly lifted her eyelashes and shot him a look. It was so terrifyingly cold that the arrogant Austin Grant literally froze in his chair. After freezing him out, Sophia lazily lowered her gaze again, turning her deep attention back to me on the screen. Austin shook his head, brushing off the chilling vibe as his imagination. Man, I wonder if he's tied down with a girlfriend. Even if he is, it doesn't matter. I can just comfortably wait for him to break up. A guy this fun and interesting is totally worth putting in a little bit of effort. Sophia, who had been dead silent this entire time, finally looked like she'd reached her absolute limit with his nonsense. "Whether he has a girlfriend or not," she said flatly, "it is never going to be your turn." Austin scoffed. "Wow, what the hell is that supposed to mean? I'm absolutely incredible. How could a guy like that possibly not fall for me?" Austin was mid-rant when he suddenly choked on his own words, a crazy realization hitting him. "Wait, how would you know?" His jaw dropped. "Don't tell me you have a crush on him. Wait, oh my God, are you his secret girlfriend?" Right as Austin shouted that, Sophia's phone buzzed twice. Without even giving him the dignity of an answer, she just ignored him completely. She whipped out her phone and glared down at the glowing screen. Right there in her notifications sat two unread text messages. Sophia punched in her passcode and tapped open the weird texts from Mercy Source Pharmacy. It read, "Dear valued member, hello there. During our massive anniversary celebration this week, your personal phone number unlocks an exclusive 12% discount on absolutely all health products in our store." The second text read, "Mercy Source Pharmacy. Dear member, hello. Next Wednesday, we are flying in a top-tier cardiovascular specialist straight from Hayes City for an exclusive health lecture. By simply providing your personal phone number, you can enjoy a free professional health consultation. Plus, stick around after the lecture to receive 1 pound of farm-fresh eggs, totally free of charge." Sophia just frowned, completely baffled. When in the world did she ever sign up for a pharmacy membership? Meanwhile, over on my end, the reality show had only been streaming for a single morning, yet I had already completely hijacked 4 trending searches online. Naturally, the haters were out in full force. Some viewers ruthlessly mocked me as the absolute dictionary definition of cheap, calling me a master-tier freeloader. They were screaming, "This guy literally charged a fellow guest on the exact same show for 2 measly eggs. He completely scammed that poor restaurant boss out of 10 free meals. His shamelessness is completely off the charts." But then there were my fans. Other viewers fiercely defended me, saying I was incredibly real, daring to act out, and absolutely owning my underdog status, bravely crushing those shady, scamming merchants. Being a genuine, ridiculously handsome guy naturally drew in an absolute hurricane of mixed opinions. Even with all the praise and harsh criticism blended together, it still didn't stop me from skyrocketing to a massive, sudden burst of internet fame. Plus, with major official accounts constantly reposting and liking the crazy story, the popularity of my livestream room just kept shooting straight to the moon. At the very same time, my little stunt blew up the serious issue of random hidden charges in the restaurant industry, sparking a massive, fiery debate among thousands of netizens. The uproar was so insanely huge that it immediately drew the strict attention of the official government departments. Just 10 minutes earlier, deeply tucked away inside the lavish 3-story dorm provided by the production team, Megan finished her simple lunch and lazily lounged on the sofa, scrolling through her phone. The exact moment she smirked, thinking about how she had masterfully freeloaded another guest's instant noodles right at noon, brilliantly saving herself the entire cost of lunch, she just couldn't stop feeling incredibly smug. She thought to herself, "Ha! It seems that aside from that loser Felix Palmer, there are plenty of gullible fools around here." But before that arrogant little smirk could fully form on her face, it instantly froze into absolute shock. "Wait! What on earth? Are you kidding me? We were stuck eating pathetic instant noodles back here in the dorm, while that jerk Felix Palmer was actually out feasting on premium barbecue? Not only that, but he also walked away with $500 in cold, hard cash and 10 free meal vouchers. And the worst part? I brutally rejected Felix Palmer just a moment ago. If I hadn't been so quick to reject him, I would absolutely be sitting in that very same restaurant, stuffing my face with delicious barbecue right now, too. And that sweet $500 should have totally included my cut. Megan was drowning in so much bitter regret that she felt absolutely sick to her stomach. Suddenly, those cheap instant noodles sitting heavily in her stomach didn't feel like such a clever victory anymore. But wait a second. Why did that restaurant, along with the boss's figure and posture, start looking more and more eerily familiar the longer she stared at the screen? Before she could even begin to piece together why exactly they looked so familiar, the show's main host, Claire Turner, marched straight over to her wearing a dead serious expression. "Megan, a live viewer just reported you for strictly breaking the rules. You need to come with me for a moment." Megan looked up, completely blank and utterly confused. Breaking the rules? I didn't do anything. Claire stood firm. Our show is absolutely fair. Don't worry at all. We absolutely won't falsely accuse any guest here. Just come with me first, and we will properly verify the entire situation. Having zero choice in the matter, Megan could only nervously follow Claire into a private room. Of course, there were live cameras rolling inside the room too, making it perfectly convenient for the eager viewers to uncover the juicy truth. Claire didn't waste any time beating around the bush either. She looked her straight in the eye and directly told Megan exactly why she had been reported. A viewer explicitly reported that you were treated to free food by an outside acquaintance. In a flash, Megan understood exactly what was happening. She had literally only freeloaded that one single package of instant noodles just moments ago. Catching her breath, Megan quickly explained herself calmly. Listen, the show's official rule specifically refers to outside acquaintances, right? I'm not familiar at all with that handsome guy with the last name Miller. Honestly, before today, we had never even crossed paths. As for his actual name, I literally only heard it in passing from your staff. So we are definitely not acquaintances. At the absolute most, we're just fellow guests struggling on the exact same show. And your production team never once stated that we couldn't eat another fellow guest's food. Besides, today was literally our very first time meeting. That handsome guy just kindly offered me a package of his instant noodles. If I coldly refused, wouldn't that totally embarrass him on camera? I mean, there were so many cameras live streaming us after all. After Claire carefully listened to Megan's desperate explanation, and immediately discussing the loophole with the chief director, they came to a final conclusion. Megan had indeed not technically violated the strict rules. Why? Because the production team had, in fact, never explicitly stated that guests were forbidden from eating another guest's personal food stash. And the forced relationship between fellow reality guests truly did not count as real-world acquaintances. Letting out a huge breath, Megan was officially released without any penalty charges. But surprisingly, Megan did not immediately scurry out of that small, tense interrogation room. Now that she had successfully cleared her name, a spark of petty confidence surged through her. She sank back into the chair, crossing her arms, and spoke up with a deeply dissatisfied, spiteful tone. Well, if even my harmless little situation can be maliciously reported, then I honestly think there's another person who desperately needs to be reported too. Claire raised an eyebrow. Who exactly do you want to report? Megan sneered. I want to report Felix Palmer. This guy is a massive threat now. Every dime we spend drains our wallets dry. But his stash? It just keeps piling up, right out of the gate. He has already ripped open a $500 lead on us. I had absolutely no idea I had been reported. The second I stepped back into the dorms, the crew dragged me straight into a dark interrogation room. Walking into that dim room, I immediately spotted Claire and Megan. Someone reported you for violating the game's rules. I tilted my head, my instincts instantly zeroing in on Megan. She met my deadpan stare for less than 3 seconds before her eyes quickly darted away. She was practically sweating guilt. Oh? And exactly how did I break these rules? The whistleblower claims you pocketed $500, mooched a free meal, and that the owner even promised to treat you to 10 more meals. Care to explain this to the group? I took a deep breath, laying out the facts with crystal clarity. First off, that free meal was a perfectly valid reward for participating in the restaurant's promotional event. The $500 and 10 meals? That was strictly legal compensation, handed over voluntarily by the owner himself. Number 1, the boss and I are complete strangers. Number 2, I didn't work a single second for him. So tell me, how is that breaking a rule? If anybody here still doubts me, pull up the security footage. If even one syllable of what I just said turns out to be a lie, you won't even have to say a word. I'll pack my bags and quit the show right now. My absolute, unshakable confidence completely shattered Megan's momentum. Meanwhile, the host, Claire, along with the chief director who was closely monitoring the situation, were both sitting there in stunned silence. Good grief, Felix Palmer. The kid actually reported a restaurant on day 1 of the show and squeezed them for extra compensation. This young man knows exactly how to play the system. He is practically tailor-made for our show. Wait, but if this isn't a violation, that means the other contestants can make bank just by reporting local businesses too. But how is that any different from turning this survival game into a full-time gig as a professional snitch? So, what do you want to do about it? If it's technically legal, fine. But that $500 he got from the owner, we confiscate it. And those 10 free meals are off the table too. From this second forward, we are adding a brand new rule. If anyone pulls a stunt like this again, it's an automatic violation. I absolutely refuse to back down, shooting a freezing glare at Megan. Then I suggest you throw up that pack of instant ramen you mooched off the other guest and spit every last noodle out. Let the crew confiscate that from your stomach, and then maybe I'll agree to your terms. The second the words left my mouth, I dragged my chair aside, putting a solid distance between me and Megan. My voice dripped with absolute disgust. Go on, you can start your performance. Seriously, is this guy out of his mind? Strictly speaking, reporting health codes isn't exactly a real profession. But since Felix Palmer had already kicked the door wide open and set this crazy precedent, it would be totally unfair for the production crew to ban everyone else from doing it. Fine. If you guys can actually find shady businesses to report and score legal hush money, go right ahead. I only brought up a random hypothetical just to mess with Felix Palmer. In reality, who the hell could actually make a daily living pulling stunts like this? Wouldn't that just piss off the entire town? And just like that, the whole ridiculous drama was put to bed. Megan, totally failing to get her way, just clamped her mouth shut. She stood up and stormed out of the interrogation room. I casually strolled out right behind her. Before heading upstairs, I shot one last look at Megan sulking on the couch. If you want to win, win with actual skill. Pulling these cheap, pathetic tricks behind people's backs just makes me look at you like trash. My utter contempt hit Megan so hard she practically launched off the sofa. What is that supposed to mean? Who are you calling trash? Who are you saying has no skills? Like I give a damn if you look down on me. And who's playing petty tricks? I am just respecting the rules of the game. I let out a cold, mocking laugh and took the stairs. Megan's face turned completely crimson, absolutely humiliated by my dismissal. I am not wasting my breath arguing with you. Honestly, I couldn't care less about bickering with a sore loser. I walked up to my room, crashed on the bed, and took a well-deserved nap. Once Claire was sure both Megan and I were gone, she sat down with the chief director to re-watch the footage of my explosive lunch run. Ha! We don't even need to pay for trending hashtags anymore. Felix Palmer just single-handedly handed us a viral gold mine. The sheer hype and quality of our show just skyrocketed through the roof. The chief director was riding high on the success, but then a glaring issue suddenly hit him. Wait, Claire, what if he completely snowballs and leaves the other contestants eating his dust? If a contestant becomes way too overpowered, and we don't step in to nerf them, the entire show will lose all its suspense and completely tank in the ratings. You're totally right. Let's get the assistant director to patch the rules again. The chief director exchanged a dark, malicious smirk with Claire. Meanwhile, back at the main filming site, Megan, still fuming over my little stunt earlier, finally cooled off long enough to hatch a brand new scheme. She marched straight up to the third floor and pounded on Jason's door. Jason swung it open, flashing his signature golden boy smile. Hey, what's up? Megan sighed. The production crew banned our personal stuff, and they didn't even leave us the basics. They're totally doing this on purpose to mess with us, but we can't exactly survive without soap and toothpaste. Want to go buy some essentials together? Jason nodded. Sure. Megan's eyes darted around, the gears clearly turning in her head. Actually, I have an idea, she smirked. I'll grab the face wash and you buy the toothpaste. How does that sound? We just share them. It'll easily last us a month, and we both save cash on the other item. It's a win-win. Sounds good to me, Jason agreed. Let me go grab Anna. We can all head out together. The two of them headed down to the second floor. Anna must have been dead to the world, because they had to wait forever before the door finally cracked open. She looked completely out of it, zero energy, with a heavy, irritated scowl stamped right between her eyes. Classic waking up on the wrong side of the bed vibes. What do you want? She grumbled. We're going out to buy daily essentials, Megan chirped. Are you coming with us? Anna just stared blankly at Jason and Megan. Nope. You guys go on ahead. And boom, she slammed the door in their faces. Megan chewed her lip for a second before pivoting. Well, if she's out, let's go get Felix Palmer. The more people we rope in, the more we can split the list. We'll have way more stuff to swap around. We could save a ton of money this way. Jason shrugged, turned back to the third floor, and knocked on my door. I was actually just about to head out anyway. I yanked the door open, caught sight of Jason, and then spotted Megan lurking right behind him. It clicked instantly. My gut screamed that Megan was brewing up another one of her shameless, penny-pinching schemes. Jason gave me a friendly nod. Hey, Felix. We're heading out to buy essentials. If we pool our lists and swap items, we can all save a decent chunk of money. You in? Now, item swapping wasn't a terrible survival strat, but in a cutthroat competition, the second someone gets salty, the whole system falls apart. I'd just end up having to buy my own gear anyway. So, I shot them down cold. Nah, we should all just buy our own stuff. What? Megan scoffed. Wow. Just because you have the most money right now, you think we're trying to leech off you? I smirked. I don't know about the others. But you? Yeah, 100%. I shot a pointed look at Jason right after dropping that bomb. Consider it a friendly warning, buddy. Whether he actually listened to me wasn't my problem. My charity work for the day was over. If he wanted to get scammed, that was his business. Megan's face turned beet red, her jaw clenching so hard I thought her teeth might shatter. Jason opened his mouth to play peacemaker, but Megan violently yanked his arm. Ugh! If he doesn't want to come, just forget it. Let's just go wake up the last guest. The two of them stomped back down to the second floor and rapped on the door at the very end of the hall. After an agonizingly long silence, a faint, ghostly female voice drifted through the wood. Who? Who is it? The door stayed firmly shut. Megan frowned, her patience thinning. It's Megan. I wanted to know if you want to go buy essentials with us? 5 agonizing seconds ticked by. No, the ghost girl croaked. Shut down. Again. Megan and Jason stood there in awkward, deafening silence. Geez. Judging by that voice, is she literally dying in there? Megan muttered. She sounds like she's barely clinging to life. Jason almost agreed, but quickly swallowed his words. He was trying to build an idol image here. He had to keep his public persona squeaky clean. One nasty comment caught on camera, and the haters would tear him apart online. Fast forward a bit. By pure coincidence, the supermarket those two picked turned out to be the exact same one I went to. The second Megan spotted me, her face twisted in pure disgust, like I owed her $1 million. Jason, though? His eyes lit up. He clearly thought this was destiny. He figured it was the perfect chance to pitch his little item-sharing cult again. He stepped right up to me. Hey, man, let's hit the toiletry aisle together. I waved him off. Pass. I'm gonna go grab some afternoon tea first. Megan sneered, her voice dripping with venom. Must be nice to have so much cash to burn. Let's just go, Jason. We wouldn't want to interrupt his precious afternoon tea. Little did she know, this stingy guy who literally charged her for 2 eggs earlier was about to pull a masterclass in freeloading. As those suckers marched off toward the overpriced soap, the live stream viewers, who had been roasting me all morning for being an idiot, suddenly went dead silent. They watched me march with absolute purpose, gliding straight into the bakery section. Right in the middle of the aisle, a glorious white tray loaded with free samples. I grabbed a toothpick and gracefully skewered a few chunks of free pound cake. Down the hatch. Then I pivoted straight to the fresh fruit samples. By the time I was done, I had utterly ravaged the hot deli sample stand, too. The chat exploded. Oh my God, I never imagined afternoon tea could be done like this. Felix Palmer is an absolute legend. So, Felix Palmer taking first place? They just see him as a stingy freeloader. To them, having low EQ means mooching food and drinks, while having high EQ means sipping fancy afternoon tea. Well, I certainly learned my lesson. I wonder if Megan and Jason will be dropping by for some of that fancy afternoon tea later. Over in the daily necessities aisle, Megan's so-called premium face wash turned out to be a cheap $2 bar of soap. A $2 bar of soap? That was literally the cheapest brick of lather in the entire supermarket. Jason froze, blinking in disbelief. I usually use actual facial cleanser for my face, he stammered. Megan just tossed the soap right into their cart and gave him a dead serious look. What facial cleanser? She scoffed. Have you completely forgotten how broke we are right now? Look, this soap washes your face and your body. Bam, we just saved money on body wash. How incredibly practical is that? Plus, if we actually splurge on facial cleanser right now, The viewers will absolutely roast us for being stupid. I mean, come on, we are literally competing in a money-saving reality show. The whole point is to pinch pennies, not win a beauty pageant. Outmatched, Jason awkwardly backed down. But wait, when it was time to buy toothpaste? Megan spent forever digging through the shelves, finally snagging a fancy tube that cost over $30. Jason winced, thinking that was way too pricey. But Megan immediately clapped back. Toothpaste has to be top-tier quality. Or what, do you want us live streaming with nasty yellow teeth for the next month? Poor Jason actually got persuaded again. Then, Megan let out a sneaky little giggle. Look, my soap doubles as a shower wash. It totally saves us cash. One cheap product, two uses. So, shouldn't you step up and buy one more expensive thing to even it out? That way, it's completely fair when we swap our items. Jason frowned. The more he chewed on her logic, the more completely messed up it sounded. Still, he was way too embarrassed to call her out on camera. Hey, if you think it's unfair, how about I just buy my own bar of soap? He countered. Then we won't need to swap anything at all. It's not like I can't afford a cheap bar of soap. Megan's smug smile instantly froze. Wait, why was this guy suddenly so impossible to fool? Panicking, she quickly backpedaled. Oh my gosh, I was just saying that. I was totally joking, seriously, just a joke. Jason forced a polite smile and dropped the argument. If he pushed it, the viewers might start calling him as hopelessly stingy as me. Meanwhile, on my end, after stuffing myself with enough free food, I took a slow, casual stroll over to the daily necessities aisle. Total coincidence, but I bumped right into Jason and Megan again. They had already wrapped up their everyday shopping. Now, Jason was heading over to the skincare section. The second he spotted me, his face lit up. Hey, let's go grab some skincare stuff together. That way, we can pool our resources and swap things around. Otherwise, this stuff is just way too expensive. Look, I know you're loaded with cash, but in this crazy game, every single penny we save actually counts. I don't even use skincare products, I replied flatly. So there is absolutely zero need for us to exchange anything. Jason backed off, not pushing it anymore. He just kept his mouth shut, silently grumbling to himself that Felix Palmer was a total nightmare to get along with. I ignored them and made a beeline for the specific items I needed, but instead of just grabbing them off the shelf, I whipped out my phone and cross-checked the prices across several different shopping apps. I relentlessly compared every single price tag, absolutely determined to buy from whichever digital store gave me the absolute best deal. In the end, I locked onto a super cheap app and placed my order right there in the aisle. Because I had snagged a massive platform coupon, I instantly slashed $10 off the total. The live stream comments went wild. Man, Felix Palmer is on another level of frugal. He literally price checks the whole internet just to buy basics. Honestly, Felix Palmer is my spirit animal. Isn't this exactly how all of us shop when we're broke? So, I ended up strutting right out of that supermarket completely empty-handed. The app had an errand runner who was going to deliver every single thing I bought straight to our dorm's front door. Later that evening, I made my triumphant return to the Fortune Garden Hot Pot and Barbecue restaurant. Look, free meal vouchers need to be cashed in immediately. If I waited too long and they expired, wouldn't my precious free food go straight down the drain? Except, this time around? Right at the front doors of Fortune Garden, I slammed into the absolute last people I expected to see. Anna, Megan, and Jason. I barely batted an eye. I gave them a cold, single nod as a greeting, completely unfazed, and strutted right inside to feast on my free dinner. Those three, however, they were having a miserable night. Why? Because the restaurant's massive promotional event had just been abruptly canceled. And the second Megan looked up at the barbecue joint's massive sign, she absolutely lost her mind. Wait, isn't this my dad's brand new restaurant? She was literally standing right on the doorstep of her own insanely wealthy family's establishment. She came here desperately trying to freeload a cheap dinner, only to get ruthlessly blocked at the door by her own family's server. What kind of sick, twisted joke was this? But here was the absolute kicker. Felix Palmer, yes, me was the exact guy who had ruthlessly reported her family's shady business practices. That $500 and the 10 free meal vouchers I squeezed out of them, totally paid for by her own father. And now, this infuriating brat was sitting like a king inside her own family's territory, eating, mouth-watering, fragrant hot pot entirely for free. Meanwhile, she was left freezing outside, forced to watch me helplessly through the giant glass windows. The sheer realization of it all hit her like a truck, and Megan's face contorted into something incredibly ugly and furious. Everyone else just assumed she was throwing a tantrum because she missed out on the free barbecue, so they completely ignored her rage. Jason just scratched his head and muttered, "Man, what a crazy coincidence." Wait, hold on. Why on earth did the free food event get suddenly canceled the exact second I, Felix Palmer, finished stuffing my face? Jason's eyes were burning holes into me. He desperately wanted to accuse me, to shout, "Do you have some secret backroom deal with the owner of this hot pot and barbecue joint?" He wanted to scream that I was rigging the game just to guarantee an easy win. But being the coward he is, he choked on his words, far too embarrassed to say it straight to my face. Still, the tension was thick. Everyone in the room knew exactly what he was getting at. Out of nowhere, Megan, the very girl who always made my life a living hell, jumped to my defense. "Felix doesn't know the owner," she blurted out. Anna raised an eyebrow, completely thrown off. She shot a suspicious glare at Megan, wondering why my biggest hater was suddenly playing my guardian angel. How could she be so incredibly sure? Well, plot twist. This massive restaurant actually belonged to her own family. Of course, she would know every single detail about who had ties to the boss and who didn't. But let's get one thing straight. She wasn't standing up for me out of the goodness of her heart. She was just terrified that too much digging would expose her family's secret. Scratching her forehead nervously, Megan quickly added her own twisted logic. "I mean, just look at how ridiculously cheap Felix is," she scoffed. "The guy is clearly flat broke. There is zero chance a loser like him is rubbing shoulders with wealthy restaurant owners." Ultimately, it was an exhausted server who stepped in and put an end to all their wild conspiracy theories. "Look, man, this afternoon, an absolute tidal wave of people just flooded the place out of nowhere," the server sighed. "Our boss was drowning in the chaos. He had no other choice but to pull the plug on the promo way earlier than planned. Honestly, if this mob was actually paying cash, that would be a dream come true. But nope, every single one of those freeloaders was just here to devour our free food. If the madness kept up, between the insane ingredient costs and the staff having total meltdowns, this brand new establishment of theirs would have gone completely bankrupt. Now, as for why half the city suddenly stormed the restaurant, yeah, that naturally had absolutely everything to do with my insanely viral live stream. When I first strolled in for my free lunch around noon, the place was practically a ghost town with barely 2 or 3 tables occupied. But the moment my stream exploded and my popularity went straight to the moon that afternoon, poor Mr. Morrison just couldn't handle the crushing pressure anymore. So he frantically pulled the plug on the whole freebie event. Sure, some of the cheapskates pitched a massive fit and cursed him out as they stormed off, but surprisingly, a solid chunk of the crowd actually stayed, grabbed a table, and spent real money. Mr. Morrison, whose face had been pale with pure panic just moments ago, was now glowing with an ear-to-ear grin. Honestly, aside from my table of broke reality stars being a total eyesore to him, his business was suddenly booming. But in the very next second, Mr. Morrison froze. His eyes locked onto a wildly familiar figure hovering near the entrance. Wait a minute. Wasn't that his own daughter standing out there? Megan spotted her dad at the exact same moment. Old Morrison beamed with pride and immediately started marching over to her. Panic flashed in Megan's eyes as she frantically waved her hands, shooting him desperate death glares that screamed, "Dad, for the love of God, pretend you don't know me." Old Morrison looked totally baffled, but he wisely pumped the brakes and played along. Meanwhile, Anna and Jason, realizing their dreams of a free feast were completely dead, stormed off in a bitter, frustrated huff. Right at that moment, Megan faked, needing to use the restroom to slip inside the restaurant, shooting her dad another incredibly intense, secretive glance. The second she was safely out of sight, Megan unclipped her hidden microphone, completely killing the live feed. Old Morrison quickly shuffled in right behind her. "What on earth is going on with you, kiddo?" he asked, completely lost. "You're acting super weird. Were those 2 kids out there your friends? Why didn't you just invite them in for some food? You could have shown off our family's brand new spot while you were at it." Megan peeked her head around the corner, double-checking to make absolutely sure the coast was clear. Then, leaning in close, she whispered, "Dad, listen to me. I'm competing in a massive reality survival show right now. It's broadcasting live to millions of people, so I can't just blow my cover." Megan rapidly spilled all the juicy details about the high-stakes competition she was in. Old Morrison just stood there, completely shell-shocked by the wild story. "Wait a second. So you and that smug little punk outside the one who nearly got my restaurant shut down by reporting me are rivals on the same TV show?" Megan nodded sheepishly. "Yeah, Dad. Honestly, when I first walked up, I was actually plotting to snoop around, find a health code violation, report the place myself, and copy Felix's genius strategy to hustle you for 20 free meals. But then I looked up and realized, crap, this is my own family's restaurant." Hearing this, a horrifying realization suddenly hit old Morrison like a ton of bricks. His brow furrowed in utter disbelief. "Hold on, so you and those two friends of yours were all planning to use that loophole to eat my food for free by stabbing me in the back with a fake report?" Biting her lip, Megan slowly gave him a brutally honest, guilty nod. Old Morrison aggressively clutched his chest, feeling like his perfectly healthy heart was about to straight up explode. What kind of nightmare was this? Was this entire reality show cast determined to leach his business completely dry? But Megan just stared at him with giant, pleading, puppy dog eyes. "Dad, please. The producers have a super strict rule we aren't allowed to accept free handouts from friends or family. You have to run another massive free food promotion tomorrow. I am absolutely dying for some of your barbecue. If I get my food through a public promotional event, they can't technically say I broke any rules." Truth be told, back at the dorms, she had barely felt a rumble in her stomach. But the second she stepped onto this street and got hit by that intoxicating, smoky aroma, she was practically drooling. Swallowing hard, Megan pressed on. "Plus, Dad, doing it this way means I can save my precious daily budget for at least one meal. If I win this thing, the grand prize is a mind-blowing $5 million. I could even land a massive entertainment contract and become an A-list superstar." Old Morrison looked out at the packed dining room. Knowing the insane crowd they were pulling, running the free promo for a second day would burn a massive hole right through his wallet. He groaned, rubbing his temples. But after agonizing over it for a second, he looked at his daughter's desperate face and aggressively gritted his teeth. "Fine, I'll do it. I'll set up another free event tomorrow." After Megan and old Morrison finalized their shady little plan, she was just about to walk out the door. But then, a sinister smirk crept onto her face. "Oh, right, Dad. Can you think of a way to make Felix Palmer break the rules and get him completely disqualified? Thanks to that massive payout you handed him, his show funds have completely blown past mine. Beating him fair and square is going to be nearly impossible. But the second he breaks a single rule, he's kicked out of the competition for good. You can't exactly reach out to him openly with the live stream running. And getting to him in private? Yeah, not that simple. Every single person who joined our restaurant's free event had to sign up as a member and hand over their contact info. Give me a minute. I'll head to the front desk and snag Felix's number straight into my phone. Then, I'm going to bait him hard. The second he bites, I'm reporting his ass." As Megan stepped out of the restaurant, her icy glare locked onto me for what felt like an eternity while I happily devoured my sliced lamb hot pot. With a stare that intense, you'd think she was about to burst into tears just from craving a bite. Man, forget craving the food. I'm pretty sure she wants to chuck me straight into a boiling pond and cook me alive instead. Trying to be a cheapskate, Megan had walked all the way from the dorms, and now, on a completely empty stomach, she had to drag her feet all the way back. Naturally, about halfway there, the hunger and thirst totally destroyed her. Passing by a tiny hole-in-the-wall diner, she just stopped dead in her tracks. Honestly, you couldn't even blame the girl. The mouth-watering aroma wafting out of that kitchen was just way too irresistible. Giving in to the temptation, she marched inside and ordered a plate of egg, fried rice, and a cold bottle of soda. The viewers were absolutely speechless. She couldn't stomach spending $2 on a bus ticket, but she just blew $12 on fried rice and a soda on her walk home. Talk about a massive fail, right? Is this what they call legendary? Completely pointless penny pinching? Meanwhile, with a full and happy stomach, I strolled back to the dorms. I didn't bump into a single soul on the way. Honestly, whatever those losers were up to, tomorrow I could just use my phone to track their every move. That way, I'd know exactly if my top spot was actually in any real danger. With that confident thought, I headed straight back to my room to crash for the night. I knew that saving my energy was the only way I'd be in peak condition to absolutely crush tomorrow's survival battle. Right before passing out, I grabbed my phone and scoured every single app and major brand's official website. Half an hour later, a wickedly satisfied smile crept across my face. Right at that moment, the production crew calculated the remaining funds of all 5 contestants and flashed the daily leaderboard up on the public screen. Survival battle standings. First place, Felix Palmer. Remaining assets, $984. Second place, Phoebe Frost. Remaining assets, $500. Third place, Anna Wayne. Remaining assets, $488. Fourth place, Megan Wells. Remaining assets, $485.50. Fifth place, Jason Miller. Remaining assets, $264. Over at the luxurious Jensen Star Club, Sophia Shaw was lounging on a plush sofa, her eyes glued to her phone screen. A group of wealthy socialites chattered around her, but her attention was solely on a single text message she had sent an entire week ago. The jerk on the other end had left her completely on red. But then, in the very next second, 2 back-to-back texts from an unknown number popped up. "This is Old Morrison from Fortune Garden. I've got to say, your image and overall vibe are pretty outstanding." So, a highly profitable business opportunity suddenly came to mind, one that could benefit both of us. "Are you interested? I supply the cash, and you put in the work." Sitting right next to her, Austin Grant noticed Sophia intensely glaring at her screen with a deeply complicated look. Utterly unable to hold back his burning curiosity, he leaned in closer, desperate for a juicy taste of Sophia's private gossip, and sneaked a peek. "Wait, what? Has Zenith Group seriously tanked so hard that the great Miss Shaw has to personally hustle for cash?" Sophia slowly turned her head, giving him a deadly side-eye. She flashed him a dangerously casual smile. What do you think would happen if I told Uncle Grant that the priceless porcelain vase in his study was actually sold off over 10 years ago, and the one sitting proudly in his display cabinet right now is a total cheap knockoff? Do you think dear Uncle Grant would be so grateful for my little reminder that he'd just hand me the cash, so I wouldn't have to go out and hustle for it myself? Austin, realizing he was being ruthlessly blackmailed, instantly felt a freezing chill violently shoot down his spine. He forced out a painfully stiff smile through his teeth that honestly looked worse than him just bursting into tears. "Oh, come on, look at you. We're practically family here. Don't be so cutthroat. If you're in a tight spot, just say the word. I've totally got your back." Seriously, there is absolutely no need to drag my uncle into this. Sophia just stared at him, her voice dripping with lazy sarcasm. Wow, I just suddenly remembered. That ultra-rare bottle of red wine Aunt Grant treasures so much? Seems like that went missing a long time ago, too. You really are, my dear sister. You absolutely refuse to take even the tiniest loss, don't you? After screaming internally with a desperate will to survive, Austin finally put on a serious face. "Wait, did you actually run into some real trouble? The idiot sent it to the wrong person. Go track them down." "Well, guess I'm not getting any juicy gossip after all. Mr. Morrison was just paranoid that if he called, I'd be caught up filming the show and couldn't talk freely. That's why he texted me instead." But as he sat on the toilet glaring at the text message that still hadn't gotten a reply, his brows furrowed tightly in frustration. Looks like this kid was playing it pretty damn cautiously. He would have to put in way more effort. Early the next morning, the live stream's public screen flashed yesterday's popularity vote results. Money-saving battle popularity ranking. First place, Felix Palmer. Second place, Anna Lane. Third place, Phoebe Frost. Fourth place, Jason Miller. Fifth place, Megan Wells. The comment section completely exploded, too. Damn, Felix Palmer actually snatched first place. Don't tell me he bought bots. Are these bots even real? I mean, isn't that totally normal for a reality show like this? The 2 people who left the deepest impression so far are him and Megan, but there is no way in hell I'm voting for Megan. I feel like that woman is way too sneaky. Honestly, if Jason wasn't so insanely nice, I would have voted for him. After all, his looks are totally my type. What a pity. I can understand the rest of the rankings, but how the heck is that girl named Phoebe still in third place? She hasn't even shown her face yet. Why? Well, mainly because she is just way too mysterious. I am dying to know more about her. So, I just had to throw my vote her way. The moment the popularity vote results dropped, the viewers went wild with all sorts of reactions, and the guests saw the rankings online, too. Meanwhile, in the innermost room on the third floor, after a quick wash-up, I headed down to the kitchen and fried up 2 eggs for a meal. At noon, I hit up Fortune Garden Hot Pot and Barbecue again for some grilled meat. There weren't nearly as many people in the joint today as there were yesterday. Maybe it was because Old Man Morrison had canceled the event the day before. However, I noticed that the free meal riddle challenge at the entrance was back on today. And not long after I showed up, Megan arrived too. Only, Megan got blocked at the door all over again because she couldn't solve the damn riddle. Who knew eating barbecue actually required an IQ test? Couldn't old Morrison have just tossed her an easier question? Or just scribbled the answer down on a little cheat sheet for her? That totally would have worked too. After Megan cursed him out wildly in her head, she stood there with a pitch-black expression, waiting outside those doors for almost an entire hour. By the time I walked out, completely stuffed and satisfied, she still hadn't even stepped foot inside. Talk about awkward. Looks like taking the back door wasn't so easy, after all. For the second time, she stood right at her own family's doorstep and still couldn't go inside to grab a bite. This humiliation made Megan feel like completely losing her mind and turning to the dark side. And even more magically, by the time the second day's asset balances rolled around, somehow, no one had spent a single cent. I had my eggs and free meal vouchers. Anna had the instant noodles she bought in bulk. Jason was in the exact same boat. And Megan? She shamelessly mooched off Jason's noodle stash once again. As for our mysterious guest, Phoebe Frost, she still hadn't shown her face, and she hadn't spent a single dime, either. She kept up that exact same mysterious vibe from yesterday. Compared to the basic money-saving routines of the first 4 guests, Phoebe, who was clearly built different, instantly grabbed all the viewers' attention. This Phoebe girl is seriously amazing. She doesn't go out, and she doesn't spend a penny. Is she literally at rock bottom? Is no one even going to knock on her door? I am honestly a little worried that something bad happened to her in that room. She isn't secretly practicing some dark, crooked martial arts in there, is she? Gotta admit, this woman has successfully hooked my attention. Tonight, my popularity vote is going straight to her. People are always so full of wild imagination and anticipation. So, by the 3rd day of the live stream, Phoebe's popularity skyrocketed straight to second place, even threatening to surpass mine. Not only were the viewers dying of curiosity, but even I was super intrigued. The girl had never even shown her face and hadn't spent a single cent. To be able to endure so patiently like this, she had to be some deeply hidden, calculating money-saving master. People this low-key were usually the chosen ones. Or maybe she was just holding back some ultimate move to catch us all off guard when the time was right. Honestly, it gave me a massive sense of crisis. However, later that night, just as everyone was burning with curiosity about Phoebe, the faint wail of a siren suddenly echoed from outside the dorm. It sounded exactly like an ambulance, and it was getting closer and closer, until I heard panicked footsteps rushing downstairs. I quickly threw on some clothes and sprinted downstairs. I watched as emergency medics carried a stretcher out from the second-floor corridor. Lying pale on that stretcher was a slim, tall girl. The innermost room on the second floor. That was supposed to be Phoebe's room. I grabbed Anna, who was still in her pajamas, and frantically asked, "What the hell happened?" Anna rubbed her temples, her tone completely helpless. This crazy woman starved herself for 9 straight meals over 3 days and literally fainted from hunger. Anna had originally just been curious about why Phoebe hadn't made a single peep for 3 whole days. So, she went up to knock on her door. After getting 0 response for the longest time, she freaked out that something terrible had happened to Phoebe. So, she just smashed the door right open. And that's when she found Phoebe out cold on the floor. Then she immediately dialed 911. Seriously, though, so much for being the chosen one, right? What happened to our brilliant, untouchable mastermind? Yeah, I totally take that thought back. The paramedics hauled Phoebe into the back of the ambulance, then turned around to face the remaining 4 of us. Which one of you is riding to the hospital with her? they asked. Whoever rides along has to cover the medical bills. Now, when the ambulance first showed up, everyone was acting completely terrified for Phoebe. But the second money was mentioned, they all just stared at each other, dead silent. Megan shot a glare at the assistant director hiding behind the cameras. Shouldn't the production crew be footing the bill for this? If a contestant literally collapses on your show, shouldn't you guys take responsibility? The assistant director just frowned. Before we started rolling, you all signed an ironclad agreement. Any health issues caused by your own personal choices during filming are 100% your own responsibility. At least, that's what the director claimed on camera. But the dirty truth? When the paramedics got here, he pulled them aside and actually told them to say that exact line. The reality was, whether any of us tagged along or not, they were always going to take Phoebe to the hospital. The second the assistant director finished his little speech, I spun around and bolted back upstairs without a single word. The live stream chat absolutely exploded. The live comments were ruthless. One read, "At least the other 3 guests are deciding whether to go with her. While those 3 are deciding, Felix Palmer is so terrified of paying her medical bills that he literally ran away." Sure enough, when money is involved, people show their true, ugly colors. Ugh, Felix Palmer is such a massive disappointment. I am never voting for him in the popularity poll ever again. From now on, I am boycotting every single show he's in. If I ever click on his live stream again, you can officially call me a dog. Downstairs, Anna and Megan were frozen stiff. Neither of them made a single peep. Jason, on the other hand, actually genuinely wanted to go. The only problem? He only had a little over $200 to his name, which wasn't nearly enough. He turned to Anna and Megan, saying, "Well, Felix clearly isn't going. So, how about the 3 of us pool our cash together so we can at least get Phoebe to the hospital?" Megan just shot him a nasty side-eye. She was grinding her teeth in pure annoyance. If this loser wanted to play the hero, he could do it with his own wallet. Why drag her down with him? Anna didn't react nearly as violently as Megan. She just kept her mouth shut and stared blankly. She was determined to keep up the exact same low-profile persona she had maintained for the past 3 days, of streaming a background character who barely spoke and definitely avoided trouble. Seeing that both girls were completely unmoved, Jason frowned, laying on the guilt trip. "Guys, this is literally a matter of life and death. Can money seriously be more important than someone's actual life?" Watching Anna and Megan sit there in absolute silence, Jason was secretly cheering on the inside. He knew proposing this was the absolute perfect move. Everyone was gathered on this show to compete for a massive $5 million prize. Did anyone really think they'd be noble enough to risk a fortune just to help out a rival? Their cold-blooded hesitation was the perfect backdrop to make his kindness shine. After tonight, his popularity rank would skyrocket from 4th place straight to number 1. Playing the part of the righteous hero, Jason acted like he couldn't stand their selfishness anymore, raising his voice in accusation. "You guys aren't seriously going to act like Felix Palmer, are you? Are you talking trash about me behind my back again?" Jason instantly froze. He whipped his head around, only to see me standing there. I had just sprinted back downstairs, and without even pausing to catch my breath, I completely ignored his little performance. I just pushed right past them, followed the paramedics outside, and jumped straight into the back of the ambulance. Leaving the other 3 guests standing there, completely dumbfounded, the chat went crazy again. Wait, why did Felix Palmer come back? What the heck did he even run up to his room for? Holy crap, wait. Did he just run upstairs to grab his wallet? Oh man, if that's true, then all that trash talk I just posted is going to age terribly. Please don't let me get slapped in the face this fast. Later, at Jensen Hospital, after I covered the emergency fees, I folded the payment receipt and tucked it safely into my pocket. Then, I pulled up a chair next to the hospital bed and sat down, just waiting for Phoebe to finally wake up. Luckily, we got her here pretty fast, so there wasn't any major damage. She just needed a simple IV drip. After about 30 minutes, I heard the sheets rustle. I forced my heavy eyelids open. My voice was groggy and a little hoarse as I spoke. "You're finally awake? How do you feel?" Phoebe looked up at me, completely drained. I'm okay. Thank you for taking me to the hospital." "Don't thank me," I replied flatly. "Anna was the one who found out you passed out from starving yourself, and she made the 911 call. The paramedics are the ones who actually brought you in. I just fronted the cash for your medical bills, that's all. Seeing that she was actually going to be fine, I calmly pulled that little receipt right back out of my pocket. Oh, and do not forget to reimburse me for the medical bills. I paused for a second, then looked at her with a sense of twisted admiration. Just to save 3 days' worth of meal money, you literally skipped 9 meals straight? In the end, the hospital fees plus the ambulance ride came out to a whopping $250. You're seriously something else. I shoved the hospital receipt right into her hands and let out a long, heavy sigh. Look, the prize money matters, sure, but your health matters way more. Think about it. If you win the grand prize but still end up drowning in medical debt just to survive, you're playing a losing game. Instantly, Phoebe's eyes welled up with tears. Sitting there, she looked completely shattered, like she was on the verge of totally falling apart. Seriously, why was this girl crying at the drop of a hat? I'd never comforted anyone in my entire life, let alone a girl looking this insanely fragile. Phoebe gave a pathetic, heartbreaking sniffle. I never thought that in my 20 years of living, the only person who actually cared about my well-being would be a total stranger like you. I just stared at her, my face twisted into a deeply complicated expression. Honestly, I'm not even doing this stupid survival show for the prize money. My family forced me into it because they said I was blowing too much cash at home. So, yeah, it's really just stupid family drama. Man, this kid was actually pretty pathetic. A sudden wave of genuine sympathy washed over me. Seeing her look so utterly defeated, I quickly leaned in to offer some comfort. Hey, it's completely normal for a kid to spend a little pocket money at home. Don't sweat it. Phoebe looked like she had finally found a kindred spirit, someone who actually understood her pain. She nodded eagerly. Right? I only drop a few $1,000,000 a day maxing out my video game accounts. And when I'm bored, I just hit up bars, buy luxury cars, drop cash on limited edition sneakers. Totally normal stuff. I'm barely spending a few tens of millions, but my family acts like I'm throwing money into a fire. So they banished me to this hellish reality show to experience living on $500 for a whole month. They literally don't care if I starve or if I'm even happy. The corner of my mouth violently twitched. Wait, a few million? Tens of millions! What kind of insane, out-of-touch spending habit was that? My brain blue screened for 10 solid seconds. Dear Miss Frost, did you really slum it down here just to star in an episode of Undercover Boss? What this spoiled brat lacked wasn't family affection or tender loving care. What she needed was a harsh, brutal reality check from society. Wow. My apologies for breathing the same air as you, Your Highness. I could have slapped myself. Why did I ever waste a single ounce of empathy on this filthy, rich heiress? I never should have comforted this pampered princess. Because standing right here, right now, the only true injured clown in the room was me. I was the one who desperately needed a hug. I literally agonize over spending a couple of $100. How the hell did I end up pitying a girl who throws away millions without even batting an eyelash? My sympathy evaporated instantly. Just as I was still reeling from the sheer absurdity of it all, Phoebe piped up again, sounding weirdly embarrassed. Please, bro, considering how utterly miserable my life is right now, could you maybe give me a little discount on this hospital bill? That $5 million prize money is life or death for me. It completely dictates my future status as a VIP in the online gaming world. So all that emotional rambling earlier? Total garbage. She was just playing the victim card to dodge a measly medical bill. Scamming her way to the $5 million prize was her only goal all along. A dangerous cold light flashed in my eyes. Oh, really? How about I just give you the broken leg discount? Trust me, bro, breaking your bones works like a charm, too. I literally poured my genuine heart out to you, and you're really out here playing mind games with me to save a few bucks? Do you have any idea what happened to the last idiot who tried to scam me out of my hard-earned cash? Oh, of course, Phoebe knew. She had already seen the viral videos online. Wasn't it just that sketchy barbecue restaurant owner who ended up compensating him with 10 free meals and $500? Even though her family had aggressively cut off her limitless funds, she had another sneaky way to pay me, Felix Palmer, back. Phoebe's eyes lit up and she blurted out, Look, as long as you spot me this one time, the second this show ends, I swear I'll introduce you to my aunt. She is ridiculously loaded, And on top of that, she's an absolute knockout. Seriously, insane wealth and supermodel looks. Hey, I might be totally cut off from my financial freedom right now, but I can totally just pawn off a literal sugar mommy onto Felix Palmer, who has already achieved ultimate financial freedom. Once they hook up, Felix Palmer will basically have a VIP ticket to total financial freedom himself. And if my aunt is suddenly happy and in love, she'll obviously shower her favorite matchmaker niece with tons of cash. Which means I'd never have to sweat my family cutting off my allowance ever again, all because I teamed up with this future uncle-in-law. While Phoebe was busy playing 4D chess in her head and practically drooling over her master plan, I just stood there, completely deadpan. A heavy trace of absolute disgust flashed in my eyes. Pass. I'm not into women who come with annoying nieces attached. Okay, then how about I compensate you after I inherit my family's massive empire? You might just have to wait a little bit longer, though, because my old man is stubbornly healthy. But once I finally inherit the family business, I can buy you literally whatever you want. Forget a mere $5 million. Even $50 million wouldn't be a problem. I shot her a chilling side-eye. Wow. Does your family run a pyramid scheme or something? Because you are a total professional at making empty, pie-in-the-sky promises. I stood up slowly, walked right up to Phoebe's side, and gave her a terrifyingly polite smile. Your medical bill cannot be short by a single cent. If you cross me after I just saved your life, I have zero problem tossing you right back into that hospital bed. My voice was deadpan. No anger, no threats, just cold, hard facts. It shouldn't have been terrifying, but a sudden chill ripped right down Phoebe's spine. Staring at me up close, she couldn't help but notice. I was actually ridiculously good-looking. Honestly, I looked like one of those top-tier RPG characters with flawless 360-degree visuals. Phoebe blinked hard and snapped her head away, totally avoiding my eyes. Got it. The cash is in my room. I'll pay you back the second we get back. I gave a satisfied nod. Don't even try to play me, I warned her. I'm only in this for the cash. The live chat watching us absolutely lost their minds. Why does Felix sound exactly like a ruthless kidnapper right now? Lol. I swear his next line is going to be, pay the ransom or the hostage gets it. This dude is insanely focused. No distractions, just pure greed. Haha, is Phoebe just here for comic relief? She totally sold out her own aunt for a measly $5. Man, who would have thought the cheapest guy on the show, Felix Palmer, would be the one fronting her medical bills? Forget the rich, gorgeous aunt for a second. Let me be the uncle-in-law. Once her IV drip finally finished, I didn't take Phoebe straight back to the dorms. Instead, I dragged her to a nearby porridge joint. Standing at the counter, I caught a guy swiping a VIP membership card. Excuse me, I asked the cashier. Any sweet perks for signing up as a member? Sign up now, and you get a $10 late-night snack voucher, she smiled. But it only works after midnight. I quickly checked my phone. It was just past midnight. Hey, my luck was actually turning around. How do I sign up? I asked. Easy, just top up $100. Top up? Yeah, right, I would only do it if the membership was totally free. I only brought Phoebe here in the first place because her frail body desperately needed something healthy and nutritious. Otherwise, no way I'd step foot in here. With my current rock-bottom financial situation, I definitely couldn't afford to blow cash every single day on fancy food that barely filled my stomach. I ordered one bowl of porridge and a steamed egg custard. We scraped our bowls clean and headed back to the dorms. True to her word, Phoebe handed over the hospital fees and the porridge money right down to the very last cent. Safely in my room, I carefully folded those $500 and tucked them securely back into my bag. The next morning, I boiled a couple of extra eggs specifically for Phoebe. The poor girl was still recovering, after all. Besides, when we had that custard last night, the brat actually showed a shred of conscience and offered me half. I wasn't about to steal food from a sick patient, though. Hand her 2 measly boiled eggs, and suddenly this little princess was on the verge of tears again. She actually sniffled and said that out of everyone on this reality show, I treated her better than anyone except Anna. Seriously, if I hadn't shut her up, I swear she was about to offer her hand in marriage to repay me. Breakfast done, I hit the streets. Phoebe quickly washed her face and quietly shadowed my every step. And it wasn't out of loyalty. It was strictly because tagging along with me guaranteed her free food. Suddenly, a guy in a giant mascot suit blocked my path. Hey bro, got a sec? Fill out this quick form, and I'll hook you up with a free bottle of mineral water. Check it out." A sly smirk crept onto my face. I reached out, grabbed the clipboard from the guy, and did a quick scan. It looked like some basic product survey, but just as my pen hit the paper, Phoebe chimed in from behind. "I really wouldn't fill that out if I were you," she warned. "Stuff like this is a massive privacy leak waiting to happen. You're going to get bombarded with spam texts and non-stop scam calls. Once they harvest your data, they just sell it to shady third parties." I actually chuckled. Don't sweat it. She was completely right, and I knew exactly how the game worked. But here's the kicker. The info I was writing down wasn't mine. It belonged to a scammer. What did I have to lose? The numbers I left at the pharmacy and that barbecue joint earlier? All from the exact same scammer. Exactly 1 week ago, a sketchy text from an unknown number got flagged by my phone's anti-fraud app. The message claimed the massive Zenith Group was hiring a high-paying personal assistant for their CEO. It promised an insanely easy job, 0 degree required, but demanded an ability to adapt to long-term overseas business trips. Classic bait. It ended with a friendly, "Reply if you're interested." Zenith Group was an absolute powerhouse of a corporation. My old college buddies would literally kill each other for an internship there. I had this one classmate who actually managed to get a foot in the door right after graduation. Even though he was just a bottom-tier temp worker, he flexed about it in our group chat for months. So, at first glance, I almost thought my anti-fraud app had made a huge mistake blocking it. I tracked down Zenith Group's HR number online, but when I called, they told me point blank they weren't hiring for that position. And the number that texted me? Completely fake. Not connected to their HR department at all. The rep even gave me a polite heads up, warning me about scammers posing as company staff to pull off frauds. They told me to stay alert. Honestly, I hadn't gotten my hopes up, but man, it still stung a little. The viewers were panicking too. Phoebe is spot on. You can't just hand out your phone number and personal info. It's practically begging for identity theft. Isn't Felix Palmer way too trusting? Phoebe literally warned him, and he just brushed it off like it was nothing. Chill out, guys. Just download a scam blocker app. It's a lifesaver. Yeah, but you can't trust an app with your life. Exactly. AI filters miss things all the time, and these scammers are pros. We've got to stay sharp. Meanwhile, Phoebe and I had been walking for a good while. She was getting thirsty. All those arguments she had ready, they vanished the second she saw that row of free bottled water. She awkwardly glanced at the guy in the mascot suit, cleared her throat, and muttered, I'll take one of those forms, too." The mascot handed her the paper, then looked at me and casually dropped a bomb. "Are you two a couple?" Phoebe's pen froze right in the middle of signing her name. Having 0 experience with romance, that teasing question turned her cheeks completely red in a split second. I didn't even blink. I completely ignored the question and just flatly recited my phone number. Back at the dorm, my little stunt from last night cost the other 3 guests some serious sleep. Jason never imagined his carefully plotted trap would just become my stepping stone. By day 4 of the live stream, I was sitting pretty at number 1 in popularity again. Anna and Megan were getting ripped apart in the comments. Jason thought he was doing okay, but the viewers kept dragging up that clip of him trashing me behind my back. They called it an epic, live broadcast slap in the face. Megan was fuming. She was convinced I was some kind of evil mastermind. To them, what I did last night felt like I'd smacked all 3 of them across the face with a dirty shoe right on live TV. The online comments were completely one-sided now, and those 3 were officially cemented as the toxic villains of the show. Megan knew she had to act. She desperately needed old Morrison to step up his game and tempt Felix Palmer. Meanwhile, after scoring my free water, I took a stroll through the downtown area. Somewhere along the way, Phoebe, who had been trailing me like a shadow, just vanished. I didn't bother looking for her. She was a grown woman with a functioning brain. It wasn't like she was in danger, and I sure as hell wasn't here to babysit. We weren't teammates. We were rivals in a solo survival game. Passing by a certain storefront, I stopped, eyed it for a second, then pulled out my phone and recorded something. After that, I headed straight back to Fortune Garden Hot Pot and Barbecue. If I squeezed in 2 more meals there today, I'd be down to my last 3 free meal vouchers. That meant they'd barely stretch to noon the day after tomorrow. Fast forward to noon on day 6 of the broadcast. My vouchers were officially wiped out. Old Morrison finally let out a massive sigh of relief. Thank God he didn't have to look at my face anymore. That night, with 0 meal tickets left, I cooked up my very last 3 eggs. That was it. Out of ammo, out of food. I had hit rock bottom. If I didn't spend cash now, I was going to starve. At the exact same time, Anna completely ran out of her instant noodles. Now she had to make the agonizing choice of what flavor to buy for her next bulk case. But let's be real, after surviving on nothing but noodles for 6 straight days, Anna was absolutely sick to her stomach at the thought of them. As for Jason, his stash had already been mooched clean by Megan, forcing him to buy another whole case. He still had a little food left. And Phoebe? When she wasn't hiding in her room, she'd sneak out to the supermarket with me to shamelessly freeload off the free samples. At first, she treated our afternoon tea routine like a crime. She was so embarrassed. She'd look over her shoulder like a thief. But eventually, she totally surrendered to how good the free food tasted. When the producers announced the wealth rankings that night, I was still crushing it, firmly locked in as the #1 penny-pinching king. Then, on the morning of day 7, the production crew called all 5 of us down to the first-floor lobby. The host, Claire, flashed a wildly sinister smile. Today, we are rolling out the red carpet for 5 heavyweight golden sponsors, and these VIPs are going to join you 5 contestants for a full day of penny pinching. Megan shot her hand into the air, nervously stammering. Wait, can I ask a quick question? When these VIPs join our survival game to experience this money-saving life, are they bringing their own cash? Oh, that is the million-dollar question, Claire laughed. According to the producer's brand new rules, these 5 big shots will not be carrying a single dime on them. So, every single cent they spend today will be paid entirely out of your pockets. Everyone gasped in horror. What? Surviving this show was already hard enough. Now, they had 5 extra mouths to feed. And worse, these 5 mouths belonged to powerful VIPs they absolutely could not afford to piss off. It was pure despair. This was true, unadulterated hopelessness. Even the live stream viewers started fighting our battles for us. You could tell they really felt like part of our miserable family. The production team is straight up evil. Aren't they basically forcing the contestants to take on massive dead weights? These poor 5 people are already starving and fighting for scraps. Are the producers actively trying to torture them to death? I knew snagging that $5 million grand prize wouldn't be a walk in the park. Honestly, I am dying to see if Felix Palmer will be shameless enough to just drag a billionaire along to eat free samples. No way he would risk that, right? I mean, these are the show's biggest sponsors. Pissing them off is a death sentence for any contestant. Yeah, they definitely have to treat these VIPs like absolute royalty if they want to survive. Exactly. If a sponsor gets slightly annoyed and demands they be kicked off the show, they can kiss that massive prize money goodbye forever. Forcing high-maintenance sponsors to slum it with broke contestants was the assistant director's brilliant, twisted new scheme to torture everyone. Because let us be real, the only way to spike the ratings was to occasionally throw absolutely insane, impossible roadblocks at the desperate contestants. Seeing the pure gloom plastered across everyone's faces, Claire just smirked and waved her hand dismissively. Oh, come on, cheer up a little. We are broadcasting live right this second. Your beloved sponsors are watching your every move from their screens. Besides, people on other reality shows would kill for a chance to rub elbows with elite sponsors like this. You guys should be bowing down in gratitude. Megan forced the most painfully fake smile imaginable. Yeah, but you know those are other reality shows. How can you even compare our brutal survival game to those? Claire cocked a sassy eyebrow. How is it any different? Some hardcore survival shows do not give you a single penny for living expenses. Those poor guests actually have to break their backs and work with their own 2 hands just to survive the week. Trust me, we would love to work for our cash. Megan snapped back. But your twisted rulebook clearly states we are not allowed to trade our labor for any benefits. Any money we make from working is an instant violation. Claire just let her icy gaze sweep across the 5 terrified contestants. Exactly. Which means you will just have to dig deep, rely on your ultimate penny-pinching secrets, and make some incredibly tough choices. Look, the chance to walk away with a mountain of cash has been handed to you. Whether you survive, and how you pull it off, is entirely up to your own skills. Right now, the contestant hanging by the absolute thinnest thread was Jason. The poor guy only had $222 left to his name, and now that he had to somehow play sugar daddy to a wealthy sponsor, he was going to have to pull off a miracle. That is when I, after staying dead silent this entire time, finally opened my mouth. So, wait, are we supposed to pool our money and host these sponsors together today? Claire shook her head. Absolutely not. You are going to compete in a little challenge. Then, based on who wins, you will get to handpick one of the sponsors yourselves for a one-on-one VIP hosting experience. That way, everyone bleeds their own cash. It is only fair, right? The live chat instantly blew up. Wait, will not every single sponsor be begging to get paired up with Felix Palmer? I mean, duh! Every contestant's bank account is completely transparent to the public. Who would not want to burn through a day with the richest guy on the roster? That is a no-brainer. Felix Palmer is basically the undisputed king of cash on this show right now. Oh, those 5 sponsors are absolutely going to fight to the death just to get grouped with Felix and eat like kings. Do not be so sure about that. Sure, Felix Palmer might be the little rich guy of the show right now, but he still has to actually be willing to spend that money. Knowing how ridiculously cheap that guy can be, I really would not bet on it. Back in reality, Claire pointed dramatically toward the front gates. Here is your mission. Whoever sprints out and snatches the card from our staff member first gets the ultimate power to choose their sponsor first. The staff member holding your golden ticket is standing right outside the dorms, and the front door is wide open. Following the direction of Claire's perfectly manicured finger, the 5 of us squinted into the distance. Sure enough, there was a faint figure standing about 100 meters away. So, it is basically just a 100-meter dash? If nobody has any complaints, let the bloodbath begin. Aside from Jason, who blasted off the starting line like a desperate rocket, the other 4 of us just casually dragged our feet. Did choosing a financial parasite really require a hardcore competition? No matter who we picked, it was still another mouth draining our wallets. Why in the world would we waste our precious energy acting excited about that? At that exact second, the 5 VIP sponsors sitting in their luxury cars watching the live feed were absolutely fuming. Wait, aside from Jason, is literally nobody else going to fight for us? Even if they do not want to fight for us, could they at least pretend not to look so completely disgusted by our existence? Seriously, fake a light jog or something. This new batch of contestants is absolutely infuriating to manage. After Claire watched us lazily drag our feet for 2 steps, she suddenly slapped her forehead. Oh, I forgot to mention, the top 3 finishers will receive a massive bonus hosting fund sponsored directly by the production team. Before anyone even had time to ask how much the production crew's hosting fund actually was, Claire and the livestream viewers just saw an absolute blur. Several after images instantly flashed across the screen. I'm seriously dying of laughter right now. I guess cold hard cash can really make these 4 guests dance like puppets, huh? Literally 1 second ago, they were complaining about having too many mouths to feed, dragging their feet and refusing to compete. But the very next second, the moment they heard money was on the table, the soles of their shoes practically caught fire. Honestly, you gotta respect the hustle of these sneaky opportunists. Jason never saw it coming. Even though he got a head start, he was brutally overtaken by the absolute mob behind him. He just felt a wild gust of wind blow right past his face before he was left completely in the dust. What the heck was going on? Weren't they just refusing to fight for a sponsor? When the dust finally settled, Phoebe snatched first place. I came in second, Anna took third, and Megan got fourth. Dead last in 5th place was Jason. Catching her breath, Phoebe confidently strode back on her long legs. She slapped the first place card right into Claire's hand. Claire smiled warmly. All right, now you get to choose your sponsor. Are you excited? But Phoebe just narrowed her eyes and asked, Where's the cash? How much are we talking? Seriously, are you all just obsessed with money? Claire sighed, pulling a slip of paper from her pocket and handing it over. That's the official hosting fund from the production team. Phoebe stared at the $5 bill in her hand and instantly let out a dark, angry laugh. Are you kidding me? Who the hell hosts guests with $5? Claire just smirked. Well, you don't have to take it. Claire reached out to snatch it right back, but Phoebe swiftly dodged. $5 is still $5. It's way better than nothing. As the second place winner, I also got a pathetic $5. I just stared speechlessly at the crumpled bill in my hand. The words, "This production team is absolutely shameless," were written all over my face. Meanwhile, Megan and Jason, who walked away empty-handed, were definitely feeling the sting of jealousy. The sponsors were chosen by drawing lots. Naturally, we stepped up in the exact order we had just won. This part finally made Jason feel a whole lot better. When the results were announced, he felt like he had hit the absolute jackpot. He drew the biggest name on the board, North Star Entertainment. The guy was so hyped he practically teared up. As for me, I pulled the Zenith Group. Sitting in the luxury car prepared by the crew, Sophia watched the live stream like a hawk as I revealed my result. The corner of her lips curled up into a faint, almost invisible smirk. Meanwhile, the other four sponsors glanced over at Sophia, their eyes filled with a sudden wave of pity. Once all of us guests had locked in the sponsors we'd be hosting, Claire clapped her hands. "All right, everyone, hurry up and get ready. The crew will notify you the second your VIPs arrive." Before she even finished her sentence, Jason bolted upstairs, desperate to give himself a full-blown makeover. Megan really hated the idea of adding another mouth to feed. But then it clicked in her head. For someone coming from an ordinary new-money family like hers, rubbing shoulders with true elites was an opportunity she couldn't pass up. She rushed back to her room and used her cheap $2 bar of soap to wash her hair like her life depended on it. Jason and Megan were treating this sponsor welcome like it was the most important moment of their lives. But Phoebe and Anna? They were a completely different story. Those two just strolled back to their rooms, crawled straight under the covers, and went right back to sleep. They honestly couldn't care less who showed up. They had zero intention of treating these big-shot sponsors with any respect. And as for me, the undisputed king of saving money, I just sat on my bed, casually scrolling through my phone. I looked incredibly busy, even though I had absolutely no clue what I was actually doing. Once the VIP sponsors finally arrived and were escorted to the set, the staff scrambled to notify all of us guests. Jason, utterly desperate to leave a flawless impression on the boss of North Star Entertainment, practically flew down the stairs. Waiting gracefully in the first-floor lobby were 5 very powerful, experienced women. His eyes locked onto one of them, a tall powerhouse radiating pure nobility. His survival instincts kicked in immediately. "That woman is dangerous. I need to stay as far away from her as possible. Please don't let her be the boss of North Star," he prayed, mostly because she was breathtakingly gorgeous. If he spent too much time around someone like her, he might just completely lose his mind. And at that point, instead of climbing the social ladder, he'd just end up as tragic cannon fodder digging his own grave. Throwing his entire future away over a pretty face just wasn't worth it. But right as Jason was silently praying, Claire walked straight over to the middle-aged woman standing on the far left. Claire flashed a bright, almost painfully eager smile of flattery. She gestured toward the woman and introduced her to Jason. "This is Vice President Linda from North Star Entertainment." The actual boss of North Star had originally agreed to show up, but for some mysterious reason, he bailed at the very last second and sent the VP instead. Jason was practically doing cartwheels in his mind. But to keep the big boss from thinking he was just some clueless rookie, he forced a cool, composed front and flashed a smooth, gentle smile. "Hello, Miss Lee." "Hello, hello." Vice President Linda beamed back at Jason. Her incredibly warm, approachable vibe instantly melted away his nervous tension. "Have you grabbed breakfast yet?" she asked. "Not yet. The crew mentioned you'd be handling that for us." Jason instantly spotted his golden opportunity to show off. "In that case, let me treat you to breakfast. As long as it doesn't break the bank, please order absolutely anything you want." Seriously, this production team was totally shameless. They actually expected the contestants to feed the wealthy sponsors. It totally looked like Jason was ready to empty his entire bank account just to butter up the VIP. Honestly, that was totally on brand for him. Who is that woman in the center? I need all her info in 3 minutes. Meanwhile, Megan and Anna headed downstairs to wrangle their own corporate backers. Megan was paired with Mr. Smith, the president of the Fortune 500 powerhouse, Titan Insurance. "Haha. Hello. My name is Megan Wells." Anna's sponsor chimed in. "Hi there, I'm Chloe from Prosperity Group." Wait, were all the elites at Prosperity Group this incredibly humble? She didn't look like a cutthroat corporate sponsor at all. Where was the intimidating VIP aura? Honestly, standing next to Chloe, Anna looked way more like the wealthy boss. Or was Chloe just that remarkably down to earth? The communication styles between Megan's duo and Anna's duo were like night and day. Elsewhere, Phoebe quickly scurried to Sophia's side. Brows furrowed, she muttered in a hushed whisper meant only for her. Sophia just gave her a cool, sideways glance. "What are you doing here?" Phoebe hissed, suddenly remembering that Sophia had just taken the reins at Zenith Group. Well, it wasn't really her business. Maybe her high and mighty aunt was just here to boost the corporate brand and score some easy PR points. So that explained why she'd made a rare exception to step in front of the reality TV cameras. Anyway, Auntie, aren't you paired with Felix Palmer? Do me a solid. Don't make his life miserable and maybe look out for him a bit. He's actually been super nice to me on this show. A few days ago, he covered my medical bills up front, and he even boiled eggs for me when I felt better. Sophia's eyes instantly darkened. After rattling off all his good deeds, Phoebe suddenly remembered one crucial detail and quickly warned her, "Oh, right. Also, you absolutely cannot tell him you're my aunt." Sophia's icy self-control finally cracked. "And why is that? Because he doesn't like you." Sophia arched a frosty eyebrow. "I highly doubt I've ever offended the man." "Well," Phoebe mumbled, "he said he can't stand women who have nieces." Wait. Was it entirely possible that the niece part was the actual problem here? Then, Phoebe heard Sophia let out a faint, dry laugh before using her signature icy tone to deliver an absolutely ruthless blow. If that is the case, then starting right now, I can simply be someone without a niece. Because frankly, I don't particularly want to claim a dramatic little alien who throws a 3-day, 9-meal starvation tantrum either. Phoebe perfectly understood that first part, but the brutal meaning of the second half hit her like a truck. Her aunt was completely disgusted by her embarrassing stunts and was fully ready to disown her on the spot. How could this woman be so incredibly cold-blooded? They were literal family. How could she just drop her own flesh and blood like it was absolutely nothing? Phoebe fired back defensively. I wasn't just stupidly starving myself. I was protesting against all of you. I was trying to prove that I will never, ever admit defeat. Sophia gave her a withering look and drawled smoothly. Only literal toddlers use hunger strikes to prove they matter. Phoebe completely froze, totally at a loss for words. Before things could escalate, Megan suddenly strutted over from the sidelines. "Hi there. I'm Megan Wells," she chirped. These sponsors represented massive, top-tier corporations. If she hadn't managed to get on this reality show, she'd probably go her entire life without ever breathing the same air as these titans of industry. Whether she secured any perks or not, she absolutely had to get her face out there and network with these heavy hitters first. Besides, when she had first walked downstairs, she had already secretly scoped out the VIPs. The stunning woman standing right in front of her, from her flawless looks and commanding aura to her designer clothes, completely outshone all the other sponsors. Naturally, she had to seize the initiative and shoot her shot. Flashing a bright smile, Megan eagerly reached out to shake Sophia's hand. Sophia's icy gaze shifted to Megan, but she didn't even twitch a muscle to return the handshake. Instead, she just stared right through her in dead silence. A sudden wave of intense, inexplicable panic washed over Megan. She instantly regretted trying to play the eager networker. A few agonizing seconds later, as Megan squirmed under the pressure, Sophia finally spoke in a casual, breezy tone. "Oh, I know you. You're that woman who was desperate to eat some eggs, but was too cheap to actually buy them. So, you tried to leech off another guy's breakfast, didn't you?" Megan's face burned a beet red, and the live chat absolutely exploded with laughter. "Oh man, this gorgeous sponsor doesn't hold back. I'm actually dying here." She is literally reading my mind. I've been dying to scream that right in Megan's smug face for ages. Haha, this woman is totally savage. You gotta love someone who brutally calls out the nonsense. After dropping that absolute bomb, Sophia completely ignored Megan's outstretched hand. Megan let out a painfully dry, awkward chuckle. Her fingers twitched in midair before she humiliatingly pulled her arm back. I didn't! You've got it all wrong! I am absolutely not that kind of girl." Seeing the ice-cold glare in Sophia's eyes, Megan quickly realized she was playing a losing game. Deciding to cut her losses, she choked out a few forced pleasantries and dragged her own sponsor away to get some breakfast. The second they stepped out of the dorm, Megan was practically vibrating with pure, humiliated rage. She hissed under her breath. So what if she has a fat bank account? Who the hell does she think she is, acting all high and mighty? Just wait. The second I strike it rich, I'm going to claw back every ounce of dignity I lost today. Meanwhile, Anna didn't bother kissing up to Sophia like Megan tried to. She gave Chloe a simple nod and headed upstairs. Anna confidently took the lead, while Chloe followed closely behind her like an obedient puppy. The live chat went wild with crazy theories. Bro, if I didn't know Chloe was the rich sponsor, I'd totally think Anna was the billionaire heiress and Chloe was just her personal butler. For real, though, am I the only one who thinks Anna is secretly the most mysterious player in this entire game? She's way too quiet. Sure, she barely gets screen time, but knowing how cutthroat the producers are, there is zero chance they'd cast a useless background character. Right? Just look at the lineup. We've got the notoriously cheap Felix Palmer. Then there's Megan, the serial freeloader. Phoebe, who literally starved herself for 9 straight meals over 3 whole days. And let's not forget Saint, Jason. Every single one of them is an absolute handful. Anna being so boring and normal is exactly what makes her so unbelievably suspicious. There is absolutely no way the showrunners would just throw a totally average, traitless nobody into this Shark Tank. It would totally kill the drama. Honestly, I bet all 5 of these psychos are just paid actors hired to stir up chaos. Up on the second floor, the sponsor Phoebe had drawn was the infamous Chairman Foster from the massive AC Group. Foster radiated the cold, terrifying aura of a ruthless boss. Phoebe, we're going to get breakfast. She barked it out like she was ordering a lowly intern. Without even waiting for a reply, she spun on her heel and marched off, not even bothering to glance back at Phoebe. The disrespect was suffocating. Phoebe glared daggers at Foster's retreating back, her blood starting to boil. Tch, who the hell does this hag think she is? Did she forget Phoebe was a pampered heiress? Not some peasant she could just order around? The craziest part? Right now, Foster was the one who would be leeching off Phoebe's wallet. Where did she get off acting so damn superior? Screw this! I am not dealing with that attitude. Phoebe didn't give a single damn if she pissed off her billionaire sponsor. She spun right around and marched back to bed. Foster made it halfway down the hall before realizing her little servant wasn't following. Gritting her teeth, the CEO was forced to turn back. By the time she reached the stairs, her face was contorted in pure, unadulterated fury. Foster humiliatingly had to trudge upstairs to track Phoebe down. Meanwhile, down in the lobby, the stunning Sophia was the only sponsor left completely unclaimed. Every other guest had partnered up, leaving the powerful boss standing there all by herself. It painted this strangely tragic, lonely picture. The producer, Claire, panicked, terrified of pissing off the billionaire. I'll go drag your partner down right now. No need. The moment those icy words left Sophia's lips, a calm, steady shadow descended the staircase. Catching sight of that elegant silhouette standing alone in the lobby, I didn't hesitate. I walked right up and confidently held out my hand. Hello, let's make this official. The name is Felix Palmer. A tiny, almost imperceptible smirk tugged at the corner of Sophia's lips. She slowly raised her arm, her smooth, pale fingers resting delicately against my calloused palm. Sophia Shaw. Mind if we take this upstairs to talk? Lead the way. The live stream absolutely lost its collective mind. Wait, that is the big boss of Zenith Group? She is breathtaking. Bro, no wonder millions of people fight tooth and nail every single year just to get a job at Zenith Group. If my boss looked like that, I'd actually enjoy going to work every day. But hold up. Why is Sophia treating Felix like a king but treated Megan like absolute trash? I led Sophia up to the 3rd floor and straight into my personal bedroom, the one safe haven where the live stream cameras couldn't reach us. She stepped inside gracefully, barely getting a chance to scan the messy layout of my room. Without skipping a beat, I spun around and slammed the door tightly shut. Sophia turned back to me, raising a single, elegant eyebrow in a silent challenge. I leaned back lazily against the heavy wood, shoving my hands deep into my pockets. You don't seriously expect me to believe your pockets are totally empty, do you? Is that really what you brought me up here to ask? She was a powerhouse, one of the biggest sponsors bankrolling this entire twisted game. I'm no idiot. There was zero chance the greedy producers had the guts to strip these billionaires of all their cash and force them to starve alongside us peasants. Sophia just tilted her head, a playful smile dancing on her lips. Spreading her arms wide without a care in the world, her dark eyes locked right onto mine. If you really don't believe me, go ahead and search me. A second later, she let the bait drop, her voice slow and teasing. Finders keepers. If you find anything on me, it is all yours. Hearing that, the very last shred of hope in my chest just vanished into thin air. Honestly, I was totally planning to hustle a little cash out of our wealthy sponsor. I mean, the sponsors were the absolute biggest shots in the entire production crew. But man, I never expected that even the VIPs couldn't pull some backdoor strings in this twisted game. Now, I really had no one to rely on but myself. My heart turned freezing cold. Forget it. There is no need to search you. I trust you, Miss Shaw. Sophia just gave a faint, knowing smile. Well, in that case, if we are all done here, I will head out and wait for you. Sounds good. Just wait for me down on the first floor. I will be ready in a flash. I was so slammed filling out all those application forms earlier that I haven't even had time to wash my face yet. Take your time, no rush. Then, Sophia's red lips parted slightly, like she was holding back some big secret. But after 2 agonizing seconds, she swallowed her words and said absolutely nothing. I stepped aside and pulled the door open, giving her plenty of room to leave. But right as she brushed past me, she stopped dead in her tracks. You know, boys really need to learn how to protect themselves out there. Do not just casually let strange women into your room in the future. And with that cryptic warning, she strolled right out the door. I watched her leave, completely speechless for a moment. Then why the heck did you even come inside? Online, the viewers were already losing their minds. Wait, it hasn't even been 3 minutes and Miss Shaw is out already? What in the world did they do in that room? What kind of juicy secrets are being kept from us noble viewers? Man, I totally thought Felix Palmer was going to try and steal a kiss from our gorgeous sponsor. I definitely did not expect President Shaw to walk out completely safe and sound. Ha ha. That guy commenting above must be brand new to the stream. As a veteran fan, let me school you. With Felix Palmer's cheapskate personality, going after romance is absolutely impossible. Going after her wallet is the only logical answer. I honestly bet Felix wanted to seduce the sponsor and use her crazy connections to cheat his way to first place. I mean, come on, that is the big boss of Zenith Group. Any ordinary person would have been kissing the ground she walks on from day one. Hey, it wasn't like I didn't want to suck up to her. I would seriously kill for a cushy job at Zenith Group, but kissing up to the rich just was not that easy. Number one, I was broke as a joke and had zero cash to buy the boss any fancy gifts. Number two, there was no way in hell I was going to sell my body to seduce anyone. The entire point of grinding this hard for cash was to give myself and the family who loved me a much better life. It definitely wasn't to degrade myself and make everyone who cared about me worry and feel miserable on my behalf. So, I decided it was way better to stay grounded and keep my eyes glued to the 5 million prize sitting right in front of me. That was actually realistic. After a quick splash of water to my face, I headed down to the first floor and found Sophia chilling on the sofa. Hey, have you had breakfast yet? If not, let us grab a bite together. I have not. Sophia gracefully stood up and started following right behind me, completely clueless about what kind of shady place I was going to drag her to. Honestly, she was feeling pretty nervous about the whole thing. And the viewers in the chat were already starting to sweat for poor Sophia too. After all, every single place I ever went to required skin thicker than a brick wall, and the mental strength of a monk. Seriously, if your skin wasn't ridiculously thick and your willpower wasn't absolutely unshakable, you would end up starving if you hung out with me. The two of us walked for about 20 long minutes before finally hitting our destination. It was this quaint, newly opened little breakfast joint. Plastered right across the massive glass windows of the shop were huge, glaring signs shouting, "Grand Opening," and "Free Porridge." The moment the owner spotted the two of us lingering at the entrance, she dropped her wiping cloth and started waving us over with wild enthusiasm. "Hey there, handsome boy and beautiful girl. Come on in, do not just stand out there staring, step right inside and see what you want to eat." Playing the part perfectly, I strolled calmly into the shop and flashed her my most innocent, obedient smile. "Excuse me, ma'am. I just happened to see the massive sign at your front door that says, 'Free Porridge.' If every single customer who walks in only drinks the free porridge, wouldn't your business lose a ton of money? The owner's eyes warmly swept over the two of us. Aw, what is wrong with that? Listen, kid, if our shop has the guts to run a crazy promotion like this, we certainly are not afraid of folks eating as much as their bellies can hold. Eat however much you want. I beamed my brightest, most charming smile right back at her. Wow, ma'am, you are incredibly generous, and honestly, you are super beautiful too. The owner was so flustered and delighted by the sweet talk that she absolutely could not stop grinning, quickly leading me straight toward the hot, self-serve dishes. Oh, please, do not worry about us. We can totally handle this ourselves. Ma'am, you go ahead and get back to your busy work. The owner melted, thinking to herself, oh my, this sweet young man just keeps calling me ma'am so affectionately. He is such a smooth talker and incredibly polite for his age. The second the owner walked away, I didn't grab a single one of the paid dishes. Instead, I whipped my head around to hunt down that free porridge station, dragging Sophia right behind me. I have to admit, this little shop actually had a wildly impressive selection of porridge. They had vegetable porridge, the classic preserved egg and lean pork, hearty millet, savory shredded chicken, and easily 6 or 7 other mouth-watering flavors to choose from. I spun around on my heels and flashed a triumphant grin at Sophia. Behold, Miss Shaw, look at all this. This glorious buffet is the grand kingdom I have just conquered, all for you. Pick whatever you want. My dedication to hosting her was 100% genuine. Sophia just gave a faint, graceful smile. Vegetable porridge. Then, she murmured, you got it. I quickly served her up a steaming bowl of vegetable porridge. But the second I set it down, her eyes drifted over to the hot foods and side dishes. I immediately shoved the porridge out of the way. Then, I gently but firmly redirected her gaze. Miss Shaw, that part of the kingdom is off limits. I'm a bit strapped for cash, so I haven't conquered it yet. Just make do with this for now, okay? Short on funds? She echoed. The live stream chat was going crazy. Man, if they really just sit there drinking free porridge without ordering a single side, I'm gonna cringe so hard for them. Cringe about what? Felix Palmer has over $900 in his pocket, but he absolutely refuses to spend even 1 single cent on Miss Shaw. What a total cheapskate. Ha ha ha, Felix Palmer is literally going to kill me with laughter. Poor Miss Shaw. Ha ha ha. She can't even get a side dish with her plain porridge. I knew it. I totally called it. A massive tightwad like Felix Palmer would absolutely never drop a dime, not even for a VIP sponsor. Look, the plain porridge is completely free, and you get unlimited refills. I made absolutely sure to confirm that with the boss the second we walked in. Of course, the two of us sitting there slurping down plain porridge without a single side dish quickly drew some seriously weird looks from the other tables. Luckily, I have skin of steel. I honestly couldn't care less about their judging stares. Hey, free porridge doesn't come with a rule book saying you're forced to buy something else. Plus, if I wasn't fighting tooth and nail for that prize money, you think I'd willingly eat plain mush without a side dish either. I took 2 loud slurps of my preserved egg and pork porridge, then sneaked a peek at Sophia sitting right across from me. Honestly, I was sweating a bit. I was terrified that the high and mighty Miss Shaw wouldn't be able to stomach this shameless freeloading. But plot twist, she was shockingly chill. Her movements were slow, elegant, and completely unbothered. She ate with the grace of a queen dining at a 3-star Michelin restaurant, while all around us, other tables were feasting on stuffed flatbreads, shrimp dumplings, and crispy sides. It was an absolute feast over there. Meanwhile, our table was depressingly bare, holding nothing but 2 lonely bowls of porridge. So, even if the two of us were eating as calmly, composedly, and elegantly as royalty, the brutal contrast made us look straight up pathetic. My brain had already automatically painted us as some tragic runaway heir and her broke companion. Miss Shaw, born with a silver spoon in her mouth, had probably never suffered such a miserable meal in her entire life. When the shop owner finally realized that Sophia and I were actually only drinking the free porridge without ordering a single side, her jaw practically hit the floor. Hey, no side dishes? No problem. Thankfully, the porridge itself actually had a perfectly light, savory, and comforting flavor. 3 massive bowls later, I finally patted my stuffed belly. I hopped up, strolled over to the owner, and flashed my biggest smile. Ma'am, is this sweet promotion still running tomorrow? When does the event actually wrap up? It ends this Wednesday. You've still got 2 days left. As she answered, the owner couldn't stop her eyes from darting over to the stunning woman still sipping porridge at my table. Young man, is she your girlfriend? Nope, she's my boss. The owner's face instantly lit up with understanding. Ah, no wonder. She was totally thinking, oh, she's his boss. Well, his insanely cheap behavior totally makes sense now. It was a real tragedy that this porridge joint was only open in the mornings. Otherwise, I swear I would have camped out there all day long. They had blasting air conditioning, free food to keep me from starving, and zero manual labor. Sophia definitely didn't eat like the absolute animal I was. She stuck to one single bowl, savoring it painfully slowly. When she finally finished, I shot her a worried frown. You only had one bowl. Are you seriously full from that? Yes, I'm perfectly full. Honestly, she was insanely picky. If something didn't perfectly match her high-end tastes, she wouldn't even look at it. But she knew if she didn't choke down this plain porridge now, there was no telling what horrific, bottom-tier scraps I'd force her to eat for the next 2 meals. It wasn't like she joined this wild survival show for a luxury vacation, anyway. Sophia had hyped herself up mentally before even stepping foot here, but little did she know. All that mental prep wasn't even close to being enough for my next-level cheapness. After breakfast, I dragged her literally everywhere. Using warm hospitality as my ultimate cover, I marched her through a park, parked us outside a kindergarten, scoured a busy mall, and hit up every public spot imaginable just to hoard free bottles of water, random snacks, face masks, and whatever else they were handing out. Then, when lunchtime rolled around, I actually tried pushing it straight to afternoon tea. Wait, what about lunch? Was she seriously getting her lunch canceled just like that? I swear, tonight I will treat you to a massive, epic meal. Really? I stared deeply into her eyes, bursting with absolute sincerity. I promise. Surprisingly, Sophia didn't even put up a fight. A soft, easygoing smile graced her lips. Fine. Man, I have to admit, Sophia looked breathtakingly gorgeous when she actually smiled compared to her usual icy stare. It made the untouchable Ice Queen seem human. People always say beauty is a feast for the eyes. But let me tell you, when you're starving to death, drop-dead gorgeous looks are absolutely useless. Even through the screen, I could literally feel Miss Shaw's utter despair radiating into my soul. Ha ha! Seriously, what kind of nightmare is Miss Shaw living right now? Felix Palmer is used to scraping by, and even if he struggles, he just toughs it out. But Miss Shaw? Man, her luck is absolutely terrible. She actually got paired up with the ultimate cheapskate, Felix Palmer. You gotta understand, all the other contestants took their sponsors out for insanely lavish meals. Well, enjoying luxury right now is just temporary anyway. Everything still comes down to who actually bags that $5 million grand prize at the very end. That is the only thing that matters. I mean, their big afternoon tea date literally consisted of snagging free fruit and dessert samples from the local supermarket. We got there a little late today, mostly because trekking all the way from the park on foot took way longer than I thought. By the time we finally arrived, the sample trays were practically wiped clean. I stared at the very last 3 orange slices just sitting there, looking incredibly pitiful on the plastic plate. With an incredibly heavy heart, I grabbed a fresh toothpick from the dispenser and politely handed the first piece over to Sophia. Then I snagged another one for myself, sighing. Let's just make do with this for now. I promise. Tonight, I will absolutely treat you to a massive feast. Just trust me on this. Then, I popped my orange slice straight into my mouth. Oh man, the sweet, juicy citrus flavors just exploded right over my taste buds. Since I was absolutely starving to death, I immediately felt like I was eating the greatest delicacy on the entire planet. Wow, the oranges today are crazy sweet. Go on, hurry up and try it. Under my intense stare, Sophia's slender fingers delicately pinched her toothpick and pierced the very last orange slice. My eyes pathetically tracked that tiny piece of fruit every single inch it moved. But for some reason, Sophia seemed to be lifting it up in agonizing slow motion. She clearly wasn't in any rush to eat it. I gulped loudly, my stomach rumbling. I was staring at that fruit so intensely that my eyes were practically glowing green with hunger. Do you have any idea, Miss Shaw? If you hadn't shown up today, all three of those beautiful orange slices would have belonged entirely to me. But even though I am literally starving, I am still willing to give you half of my precious food. Can you feel my absolute sincerity in hosting you today? Sophia suddenly broke into a faint smile. Oh, I can definitely feel it. Good. As long as you feel it. You see, the most important thing when entertaining a VIP guest is pure, unadulterated sincerity. As long as my heart is in the right place, that is more than enough. Honestly, nothing else even matters in the grand scheme of things. And right at that exact moment, Sophia watched the orange slice on her toothpick, and the tiny half slice left on the plate completely vanish into thin air. Yep, I inhaled it. I didn't even leave her a crumb. Look, I was seriously starving. Otherwise, there is no way in hell I would have shamelessly fought a billionaire for half of a supermarket orange. Besides, the sponsor only had to endure this brutal, penny-pinching lifestyle for a single day. Meanwhile, I still had 24 agonizing days of this exact torture left on the clock. Once Sophia leaves the broadcast tonight, she gets to go straight back to her mansion and stuff her face with five-star delicacies. But me? I'll still be living meal to meal, starving half the time. So, I had absolutely no choice but to ruthlessly sacrifice my lovely sponsor's appetite for my own survival. Sophia slowly lowered her gaze, staring blankly at the perfectly clean toothpick in her hand. It was as if the fruit that was just there a second ago was nothing but a cruel hallucination caused by her own hunger. After completely devouring the stolen orange, I casually tossed my toothpick right into the nearby trash can. I looked up at Sophia with a massive, cheeky grin. "Miss Shaw, please just hold out a tiny bit longer. I swear on my life tonight I will treat you to an absolute feast. We are talking real meat, fresh veggies, literally whatever your heart desires. I guarantee you will be eating until you are completely stuffed. I am just so desperately hungry right now. So, I am really incredibly sorry, Miss Shaw. If you have to skip this afternoon snack, at least it's only a single meal you're missing out on. But I am out here literally struggling to survive every single day. Honestly, for your own sake, I really hope you don't come back next time." Sophia just stared quietly at my ridiculously dramatic swearing face. "Let's definitely hope so, Miss Shaw." Meanwhile, the live chat was losing its mind. Wait, what just happened? Where the heck did her orange go? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the summer's biggest blockbuster fantasy thriller, starring Felix Palmer and Zenith Group's CEO. The title? The Case of the Missing Orange. I can totally see it now. 60 years in the future, a white-haired Miss Shaw is chilling in her rocking chair, intensely telling her grandkids about her dark past. Back in my day, kids, Grandma didn't even get to eat lunch on live TV. When they gave me potato chips, I was only allowed to eat the microscopic crumbs at the bottom of the bag. And when I tried to eat fruit, that monster made me chew on a bare wooden toothpick. Oh my God. Felix Palmer is seriously cheap to an absolute unhinged extreme. The dude literally has the sheer audacity to snatch food directly out of a billionaire sponsor's hand. He is so outrageously bold, it's honestly kind of terrifying. The craziest part is that Miss Shaw still hasn't flipped a table in anger. Her emotional stability is just on a completely different, godly level. But damn it, I need to go check out what kind of lavish life the other VIPs are living right now. Let's see if Miss Shaw is truly the single most miserable sponsor on this entire show. Driven entirely by morbid curiosity, thousands of viewers immediately clicked over to the other contestants' live streams. They just had to compare the feeds to see exactly how tragic Miss Shaw's afternoon was, and just how insanely stingy the self-proclaimed king of frugality, really was in comparison. The viewers' very first stop on their comparison tour was Jason's broadcast room. Over on his end, they were sitting inside a gorgeous restaurant that looked like a genuinely high-end, premium casual dining spot. Jason and Vice President Linda from North Star Entertainment were lounging comfortably on plush sofas, thoroughly enjoying a premium beef set meal worth $58 a pop. That single meal alone set the two of them back a whopping $116. Plus, earlier in the morning, Jason had also treated Vice President Linda to gourmet beef noodles, which cost another $36. Now, his budget was completely wrecked, leaving him with a measly $70 to his name. Jason stared down at the massive bowl of savory beef sitting right in front of him, silently swallowing his pride. Then, with a pained expression, he gently pushed his own bowl of meat directly over to Vice President Linda. Miss Lee, please just try to make do with this for now. Once I wrap up this show, if we get the chance, I'd love to take you out for a proper, private dinner. After all, his pathetic budget only let him pull off this meager spread. Vice President Linda just smiled warmly and slid the plate of beef right back in front of him. Oh, it's totally fine. You eat it. We'll have plenty of chances down the road. Jason's eyes instantly lit up with hope. He hadn't just pushed his only portion of beef toward Linda out of pure, selfless sincerity. Not at all. The entire strategy behind hosting her hinged completely on that last little sentence. If he played his cards right, before Vice President Linda left tonight, he might just score her personal number. Oh, Jason, you only have $70 left to your name. How on earth are you going to survive the next 20-something days? You are seriously going to drive me crazy. Can you please just grow a spine? Seriously. Every single time I watch this guy, it feels like my chest is taking a massive, heavy hit. He's way too much of a pushover. Did he honestly have to hand over his only decent food to the billionaire sponsor? Why not just starve yourself completely and give them the clothes off your back, too? But man, compared to Felix Palmer's side of things, Felix is on a whole different level of cheap. Poor Miss Shaw is truly going through it. All right, let's go. Let's go. Next stop. The viewers swarmed over to their second comparison point, Megan's live stream. Megan had dragged manager Smith from Titan Insurance over to this authentic hole-in-the-wall joint. The vibe was actually pretty chill, and the prices wouldn't break the bank. Mr. Smith, care for a little drink? Probably best not to. It's just not very professional during work hours, you know? Megan flashed a bright smile and nodded along, handing the sticky menu over to him. Fair enough. Please, Mr. Smith, order absolutely whatever you're craving. It is entirely on me. Manager Smith ended up picking 2 super cheap rice-heavy comfort dishes, saucy eggplant strips, and tomato scrambled eggs. Megan's grin stretched even wider across her face. Man, the stuff Mr. Smith picked out just saved my wallet from a total meltdown. But the best part? The guy doesn't even drink alcohol. That is like finding a unicorn. Mr. Smith is a genuinely solid dude. Definitely worth keeping around. Right as Megan was mentally celebrating her luck, Manager Smith closed his menu and hit her with a totally random question. So, do you happen to know much about insurance? Megan was clueless about that kind of corporate stuff. She definitely didn't own any. But hey, since the VIP asked, she had to play along and stroke his ego. I know a little bit, but not a whole lot. Has anyone in your family ever bought a policy? I'm pretty sure my dad got car insurance once. What about life or personal health insurance? Yeah, I really don't think so. Manager Smith rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Personal coverage is critically important these days, especially accident and medical plans. Not only do they cover crazy expenses like daily meds, clinic visits, and huge hospital bills, but they also take a massive weight off your family's shoulders. Plus, I gotta tell you, the market for coverage is incredibly strong right now. The payout limits we offer at Titan are honestly through the roof. Get this. Just 2 days ago, we had a client with late-stage cancer rack up an insane bill for her hospital stay and treatments. Her family was completely tapped out, bankrupt. But, by a stroke of pure luck, she carried our Titan policy. Our team literally walked $300,000 in cold, hard cash right into her hospital room. Her family was crying their eyes out. 300 grand, just like that. Megan's ears immediately perked up. Wait, really? How do you even sign up for something like that? Here, take down this number. It's our head department manager. He will personally tailor the absolute best, most bulletproof coverage plan for your specific lifestyle. Megan whipped out her phone so fast to save the contact. Wait a second. Why do I feel like I just got cornered into watching a live infomercial? Mr. Smith totally came on this show just to push ads and poach clients, didn't he? Oh my God, the hustle is real. This is literally the first time I have ever seen Megan, the absolute queen of freeloading, whip out her wallet for someone else. This is wild. It's so over. I'm pretty sure Megan just got totally brainwashed by a corporate suit. She's not seriously going to blow her tight budget on insurance, right? She doesn't even have 2 dimes to rub together right now. Whatever. Let's just go check on Miss Anna and Chloe. The chat flooded over to the third stop, Anna's stream. Turns out, Anna and Prosperity Group's Chloe didn't even bother going out to a restaurant. They were literally huddled in the dorm, slurping down cheap instant ramen. Anna had just sprinted to the corner store to buy another massive wholesale crate of noodles. Honestly, she was totally sick of eating processed junk and originally wanted to grab some fresh veggies to cook up a real meal. It would have been way cheaper and a million times better for her health, but then she remembered her absolute disaster of a cooking skill set that essentially reset to zero every time she hit the kitchen. Cup noodles it was. Dude, isn't it kind of awful to feed a wealthy sponsor instant ramen? What's so awful about it? She should consider herself lucky. Look next door. Miss Shaw from Zenith Group couldn't even get a single crumb of a proper meal.